What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 7 OK Chapter 151 I have Admiral Kakuzu, I can cut first generation. It's him. At the end of the road, when he saw Bajian, a phase body visibly trembled. Obito instantly took over his body and gave the next person a sharp wink by the way. Withdraw. Not to stay here for a long time although he also hated Bajian. He has understood since that knife that unless Uchiha Madara is resurrected, he can never be that man's opponent. Can't beat, that's really hard to beat, and that man has the ability to block space. If he doesn't retreat, he is likely to be killed by a single shot. 5 years have passed, but Obito's hatred of Bajian has become stronger day by day, but the relative fear in his heart has also become more profound. Undoubtedly, when he saw that man appeared, he could be sure that the other person had become stronger again. And it's not a bit strong. The space surges, Obito retreats without saying hello to the members of Akatsuki. Even with Ju, he sneaked into the ground and only exposed half of his head to observe the situation. With the Night Owl team blocking Jiraiya behind, the situation on the court has undergone a drastic reversal. The figure shook, and the remaining Akatsuki members also fell behind Conan. Only Tiandao Pain stood at the top and watched this scene. The standoff has begun on the left. Orochimaru, Loquat Juzo, Sasori of Red Sand, Hidan, Kakuzu, and Conan, who is still waving his wings trying to fly Zanpakuto in Bajian's hand, are all in the fire cloud suit. 793 except for Obito who ran away, Ju who secretly observed, and Pain above. The 6 members of Akatsuki's party have assembled. On the right, the Konoha Night Owl team lined up, standing in front of Bajian. Behind Uchiha Itachi and Shisui 3 God Jade are slowly turning. Guy is ready to open the 8 inner gates at any time. Kakashi has uncovered the forehead protector on his forehead exposed Sharingan. And Jiraiya seemed to be stimulated a bit, still watching this scene panting. Yi Shao and Shao are about to collide. Cut, I'm wondering how good someone can beat him. How good can 2 or 3 little ghosts and old gangsters be? The strange atmosphere was suddenly interrupted. Hidan, wearing a bloody march sickle, suddenly let out a weird cry, walked straight to his partner Kakuzu, and then patted Kakuzu on the shoulder with a very confident smile. I have Admiral Kakuzu, I can cut first generation. At this moment, everyone's eyes focused on the undead duo. The depressed atmosphere in the air made Kakuzu's green eyes go from calm to doubt to anger in just 3 seconds. This bastard, when did I say I could kill first generation? Staring at Hidan, Kakuzu can't wait to kill him. The body trembled. Kakuzu was a little bit unable to get off the stage. Didn't you kill first Hokage Senju Hashirama? Hidan was stunned. That's wrong, brother Kakuzu, you told me when you were on the mission that you and first Hokage were recruiting. Then it didn't take long for the other party to die? Aren't these all your original words? The original words are the original words? But can you not distort the meaning? Kakuzu was already mad. He did fight with first Hokage Senju Hashirama once, and even became a traitor for this reason. That task is pervert. Assassination first Hokage. How could it be possible to assassinate the man called the Ninja God? In fact, he just lost a shuriken far away, and because I was too nervous, I didn't get it at all. In order to conceal the failure of the mission, he also stole the secret technique from his ninja village and killed it, and became what it is now. But what makes him sad is that after only a few days after he came out, first Hokage actually died. I heard that he died of injuries in the battle against Uchiha Madara. The specific cause of death is unknown, but first Hokage is indeed dead. If he waits a few more days, he doesn't seem to have to hide forever like this. Unfortunately, it's all fate. Now he has become an immortal, and the longer he lives, the more he realizes that money is a good thing. He has become a real money fan. As for Hidan's knowledge of this, it was just that he pretended not to be too big or small to force his companion at the time. After all, first generation is dead long ago, no one knows what it was like. Yes, then you go. Sasori of Akasago took a step back quite consciously. Well, there are men who can fight with first Hokage Senju Zu. Aee. This battle should have nothing to do with them. Jia, you deserve it, Angle sang. Orochimaru also took a step back wittily. He wanted to see which of the 2 containers he expected to become stronger after 5 years. Greedy eyes fell on Bajian and Uchiha Itachi. At this moment, he involuntarily licked his lips and looked extremely excited. As for Hidan, Kakuzu has been happily pushed out. I have an Admiral Angle, I can cut first generation. The scene was a bit awkward. Kakuzu swallowed nervously and looked over. That kid doesn't seem to notice me, although it's a shame. The best way now is to not move the enemy, and I will not move. It was the angel of Akatsuki who fought against that kid. Should be able to hold it for a while, right? Conan, why the hell is this? The confrontation continued, but Jiraiya was obviously in pain. Being treated like this by a former apprentice is a bit unbearable for individuals. During the crisis, he saved them and taught them ninjutsu. But in the end it ended up like this. If Bajian and the others did not support him, would he be dying in the hands of his disciples today? The self-proclaimed son of prophecy died in the hands of his disciples, a real joke. This is not the time to think about such things. About Akatsuki, I will tell you what happened after I go back. But now, as a member of the Night Owl team, cheer me up. Bajian tilted his head, and the long knife inserted into Conan's shoulder trembled, and the fiery chakra began to burn his opponent's wings. At the moment, they are enemies. The first template has unlocked more than 50% of Bajian, and I already know how to use this trick. Scatter. Master is struggling. In addition to the terrifying swordsmanship of the evil spirits, there is also the aura that can give you a strong sense of oppression and an unparalleled strong body. The golden light of Bajian's body shot straight into the sky instantly. It's just a long-term tacit understanding, everyone believes in Bajian's choice unconditionally. The weird giant skeleton broke away Rinnegan's own Shenluo Tianzheng in an instant, and even made a counterattack. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Tell Nagato, be more vigorous. With a low cry, the members of the Night Owl team dispersed instantly after hearing the order. Substantiated Reiatsu defense. After the repulsion, Bajian stood there as steady as Mount High, and then as if provocatively, Vice Admiral Conan dragged him into his arms and pinched the opponent's chin. Fourth more. Shen Luo Tianzheng. A voice came from the air, and Bajian's grave looked up. Codewording. Heavenly Dao Pain's hand has been pointed at him. How could ordinary Shenluo Tianzheng break this kind of defense? Chapter 152. Sorry, there is no room for two gods in one world. Shenluo Tianzheng is invalid. No, it does not seem to be invalid. Pen above glanced at the crater on the ground next to Bajian that was developed by the repulsive force of Shenluo Tianzheng. It is invalid. It is better to say that he used his body to resist the lethality brought by the repulsion. How can it be? There was a subtle change on Pain's stiff, dead face. In other words, it was Nagato who used the chakra receiver to move the muscles of his face to reflect Pain's surprise. Having been in a schizophrenic state for many years, he can even control six-pads pen himself to talk to himself to relieve boredom. Universal pull. Seemingly unbelieving, Pain stretched out his hand again. The strong gravity is aimed at Bajian, but the man with the contemptuous face is even more presumptuous. Insert Zanpakuto into the ground with one hand, and then pinch Conan's neck in front of Pain. Gravity strikes not only Bajian, but also Conan in his hand didn't move. Shinra Tianzheng and Universal Pull have no effect on this man. Not moving like a mountain. Only these 4 words can describe his state at the moment. What happened? Nagato in the control tower has a solemn expression. For the first time, these 2 tricks didn't work for one person. You let me go. Conan was caught twisting frantically, although she was surprised with the man's powerful strength, but the feeling of being taken as a hostage made her extremely uncomfortable. Be quiet. Bajian's pupils slowly contracted, and a needle-like gaze pierced Conan's mind, and then her body shuddered and collapsed into Bajian's arms. What is Reiatsu? That is the oppression from the soul. When the gap between Reiatsu is too big, the opponent will lose combat effectiveness with one look. To say that only a little bit of performance, it is comparable to the dominant color hockey in the pirate world, but it is much stronger than the dominant color hockey. How does Conan's soul power compare to the monster Bajian? When the shock in the soul struck, she lost consciousness without the ability to resist. Conan is not weak, but she encountered a deadly nemesis, and Bajian did not give her opponent any chance to use those 600 billion detonating charms. Here, sack. Kurama on his shoulders is calm from beginning to end, only when he saw Pain's eyes in the circle before, he showed a little bit of surprise. The eyes of the old man's 6 pads actually appeared. But, it seems that the boss is stronger. After swallowing, he put the stored reel out of the sack and threw it to Bajian. This guy understands me more and more. Bajian smiled and took the sack, then put Conan in. The meaning of not killing Conan directly is obvious. Seping is also feeling the fate of the other party, or he has recently felt that the maid is not enough. In short, Conan should have succeeded in the capture. Also a poor woman, the companion died in front of her, and she took the wrong path, who inherited Yahiko's will. Nagato's approach is somewhat similar to that of Bajian, but they are destined to have completely different results. Owning Rinnegan makes himself a god, but he doesn't know the essential difference between his life-consuming eyes and his own power. Does the kindness of my childhood still retain the goodness of my companion after the death of my companion? Bajian doesn't know. He only knows that there can only be 1-2 people who are similar to his idea of unifying the world by force. Although the approach is the same, Nagato's ideal is to create the ultimate weapon to deter the 5 great shinobu villages. But Bajian's unification is essentially not one, you stand back and leave this village. I will tell you after Akatsuki's affairs go back. Looking back, Bajian flew into the air with Conan and 9 tails. Let Shisui and Itachi kill several members of Akatsuki's organization over there. Do not. It's not that he is not confident about the members of Yishao, but because he is afraid of Jiraiya's death. So they are all on their way, and the information has not yet been shared. Only shared about Hidan's special physique. Of course, it's impossible for the Night Owl team to beat the people on Akatsuki's side. There is only one reason for leaving, and that is what Bajian will do next, which may accidentally hurt him. To companions. Someone who can fly. Pain at the top was stunned. The opponent's eyes are clearly not Rinnegan, but how can I float in the air like myself?
Shen Luo Tianzheng. Before he could summon other pain, Tiandao stretched out his hand again.
The terrifying repulsion instantly rushed towards Bajian, but just like just now, the terrifying gold on the boy's body. Erika Ryotsu violently again pushed Shinra Tianzheng over. The speed of advancing is unabated. In Tiandao's shocked gaze, a hand has grabbed his. The neck flies into the air. As soon as he turned his body up and down, Bajian looked directly at Tiandao's eyes, as if he could pass through the receiver. Seeing Nagato hiding in a corner of Rain Shinobi village. Nagato, I heard that you call yourself a god. Tiandao didn't speak, but the chakra on him began to become extremely unstable. The rest of Pen's 6 paths are in the coffin, so at this moment Tiandao has a very strong chakra enough to activate the super god Luo Tianzheng. Unfortunately, this trick requires energy shaking his neck. Bajian, who was riding on Tiandao in the air, showed a hideous smile. He knows my name. Nagato, who was hiding in Rain Shinobi village, narrowed his eyes. The members of the Night Owl squad had begun to evacuate quickly. And Orochimaru saw that something was wrong and started to drill in another direction desperately. While running, Mr. Snake did not forget to look back at the sky. Go! In a dark room, accompanied by a rush of Uzumaki, Obito wearing a mask rushed towards Chong.
That palpitating power is here again. Obito's heart beats.
It can't be wrong, it feels exactly the same as the last time. If you don't withdraw now, it's too late. I'm afraid that the entire Rain Shinobi village won't be able to stay. It's not that I was afraid of Nagato's death. Obito really didn't want Madara's eyes to be ruined.
Nagato can die, but if Rinnegan disappears, what summoning Geto statue will be used? What resurrection Madara? Finally, in Nagato's angry eyes, Obito desperately grabbed Nagato's body and started Kamui.
At the same time, the repressed atmosphere in the air soared again. Sorry, Nagato.
One world cannot accommodate 2 gods. I'm not Naruto. I can tolerate a trash that is done to my teacher, and even forgive the other person.
Suddenly 2 huge horns grew out of Bajian's forehead.
The black and red light began to condense. Let you see what a true god is. Wang Shu's flash. A low sip is passed into the mind of Nagato, who is transmitting.
The next moment, annihilation strikes, 5th more.
The code wording is large. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 153 Yi Xiao, Still That Yi Xiao. This power. When the black and red light swept the entire Rain Shinobi village, the Nightingale squad farther away looked back. There was confusion and perplexity in their eyes.
There, it turned into a vacuum zone strangely. How about Rain Shinobi village? What about those buildings? Jiraiya opened her mouth, but didn't spit out a word in the end. Rain Shinobi village is gone. Itachi smiled wryly and shook his head.
He has seen Jianzhang use this trick before, but he did not expect that he has become so strong after 5 years.
The distance is getting farther and farther. The confusion in his eyes was fleeting and returned to normal.
At this moment, Itachi was wondering what the special training Jianzhang was talking about.
That was the training to start Wanwajan. Jansong mentioned this incident once before. After returning to the village, I have to talk to Jansong.
Because of the existence of Bajian, it is naturally impossible for Itachi to witness Shisui jumping into the river, and then turn on the Sharingan, 400.
So the current strength of Itachi has entered a bottleneck period. If you want to find a breakthrough, you must work hard with your eyes. According to Bajian's conjecture, the opportunity for Mangekyo to start.
Boom. The figure fell straight into the air. Bajian, who was playing Conan, looked back at his masterpiece. Runaway state. The ability that the virtual white template has after unlocking to 40%.
Although it is not the destruction caused by Hollow in full, the power is already amazing.
Rain Shinobi village will be removed from Shinobi from today. After 5 years, Konaha has not forgotten his vows. Those who move me will pay the price. As for Conan, it wasn't that he was stunned or treated differently, he had other uses. Back to the village. Looking at Rain Shinobi village last, Bajian turned Yi Xiao and left. Nagato and Obito. At the last moment, he did feel the spatial fluctuations, but his goal was the base camp of Akatsuki. If you die, you die. If you don't die, you can just make up a knife by the way. The 2 crawlers pose no threat to Bajian. In a few days, he will go to the moon to meet Ōtsutsuki Kagaya and find out what kind of existence the Ōtsutsuki clan is. There is also the so-called Ōtsutsuki style and other 10 tales. After knowing everything, those 2 people no longer have the need and value to exist. The goddess of Mao. I don't know what kind of woman it is. Shaking his head, the group disappeared outside Rain Shinobi village. White Zetsu. Give me white Zetsu. In a gloomy cave, Obito, who fell into madness, rolled back and forth in pain on the bed.
On the chair next to him, Nagato had fallen into a coma. The single-eyed Kamui's activation speed is still a bit slow. Fortunately, before Sero arrived, he finally transferred most of his body. Unfortunately, Obito's body was injured again, and he was almost on the spot when the old and new injuries relapsed. The soul was wounded again. But with the last experience, Obito directly ordered White Zetsu to fuse with him madly, whether it's. The body is still the soul, as long as it is swallowed to survive. But the price is heavy.
Had it not been for the inner strength that drove Obito to refuse to be eaten, he might have become more.
The pain of schizophrenia shared by the soul and body is inevitable. The feeling of souls biting each other, not everyone can survive.
Only if 10 tails can swallow the will, he can survive. As for Nagato, what he lost is only 2 useless legs, but the pain of soul cutting is still there. He fell into a coma. On the ground, Black Zetsu, with only one head exposed, looked at this scene and fell into deep thought.
Who the hell is that kid? Hardly resist the Shenra Tianzheng, ignoring the universal pull. He can even fly. It is not relying on speed and strength to jump, it is real flying. At the last moment, Black Zetsu saw clearly that the kid held Tiandao's neck and stayed in the air. How did you do it? A person who does not have any blood of the Ōtsutsuki clan can have such a terrible fighting power.
Why? Black Zetsu didn't understand at all. He only knew that the man's existence had seriously affected the implementation of the plan. Looking at Nagato's body, he was confused. If it continues, I am afraid that Madara must be resurrected in advance. But it doesn't seem to be the time yet. Let's wait for Obito to regain consciousness and decide. Sinking into the mud, Black Zetsu disappeared. In the empty cave, there is only one Obito who is wailing in pain and falling into a coma from time to time. Nagato shivered. Came back. Konoha village entrance. The familiar purple-haired girl is waiting. She finally breathed a sigh of relief when she saw a few figures falling in front of her. This bastard. It's not that it's too late. Suddenly a mission. Fortunately, I'm back, or else I didn't prepare for nothing. Leaning over to Bajian, the keen woman looked at the sack on the other's shoulder with a dangerous look. 0. The woman's keenness told her that the prey contained in it was absolutely prey of the same sex as her, just prey. Bajian smiled and threw the sack to Jiraiya. This is his disciple. It is estimated that when Conan wakes up, he has a lot to say with Jiraiya. He is not afraid that Conan runs away when he learns that Rain Shinobi village has been destroyed, and puts Deidara's art in Konoha. Blasting. Yi Xiao's elite has some way to block her chakra. I'm not jealous. Cursing her lips, Azuki Yuyan took Bajian's arm. Jealous. Can I eat it? Don't talk about the little sister in the village, even Kurenai Yuhi, and your sweet loving sister. See if you want to live Joe. This kind of thing mentality is calm. Mao Yuxian just doesn't want the Mo Niu woman to enter her circle. Sensible is the quality that a qualified woman should possess. Even if you want to ask, it's not on this occasion. Let's go. Some time has been lost, and it is estimated that the ninja school will soon be over. I seem to have promised that if Naruto takes the first place in the ninja school, I will ask him to eat ramen. Looking at the time, Bajian said. Well, tied for first is also first. If you don't ask him to eat ramen, he will say that he has no words according to Naruto's character. It took a lot of time to bring Jiraiya back to the village, but no one in the ninja world would have thought it was so short. Within a period of time, Rain Shinobi village has ceased to exist. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. But when they saw Bajian, they immediately changed their faces and rushed in front of him and saluted. Mina. Coming all the way to the gate of the ninja school, it happened that 2 unresolved little demon cursed from inside one. Is Konaha the new generation? Snapped. But this man who refreshed the ceiling of the word handsome doesn't know what his smile will cause. 8 sides came out. 6th more. Master. I'm not feeling well, so today the code word is very slow, but fortunately, the 6th is completed. Go to your uncle Starling. Smiling at them, Bajian turned and left with the girl and 2 younger brothers. Effect. Yi Xiao. Still that Yi Xiao. Still so powerful. The corners of Bajian's mouth twitched, and he almost kicked him out without controlling the strength in his body.
Thank you for your support. Only Egue Shian sighed and leaned in the man's arms. The lower limit of the age of the rival is afraid that it will be lowered again. The surrounding children also gathered their eyes because of the abnormality of the two. Chapter 154 Konoha Village is his legend. Inside Konoha Village. After the expansion, the layout of the village is extremely clear. If you look at it from the sky, this zoning system will make the whole village more orderly. The village is like a working machine. The Hokage building and the administrative department in the center are the beating heart and lungs, which transport blood and power to the village. It is the important military department, scientific research department and medical department that guard the Hokage building. Looking around, it is a residential area with one roof. The food court and entertainment street, as well as the arms department selling ninja equipment, are divided into 3 oval streets. While it is convenient to travel, the surrounding facilities are readily available. So Konoha nowadays will not see the sentiment of buying arms and a snack bar on the side. This is a sharp contrast. And now,
Bajin, with Sasuke and Naruto, and the girl who grabbed his arm, came to the Yeel Ramen in the food court. Before this store, Bajin rarely came. After all, his stomach is not bad, and there is not much demand for good food.
But since Naruto is sensible, he has remembered this weather-beaten but stable eel ramen restaurant. I also made the second act of staring curiously and squinting at the uncle's squinted eyes. Well, it seems that Ōtsutsuki's unlimited face-to-face reading is just a slogan. But his noodles are still good. Especially when eating noodles, there is always a different taste to Shangingpu Qingxiu's face.
Grown up, it develops a bit earlier. But the function is already available. Bajin's mentality has changed briefly. For example, the girl next to him said that he had a mixed bath. Now his thoughts are very weird, and he even faintly expects.
Hey, kid, do you see which fox grew up eating noodles? On the table, Kurama, who had gained weight 3 times, was leaning against it, wagging his tail, and suddenly a bowl of hot noodles was pushed in front of it.
What? Why can't foxes eat slim? Naruto of the God Tier Sutra didn't feel that there was a problem with his approach. He shared what he had only with his companions. He felt that this was something he should do. Besides, this is his favorite ramen. Kurama, the magical fox that has appeared around him from time to time since he was born, has long been regarded as his own.
This kid. The llama sneered and pushed the ramen back intact. I vaguely remember that I was captured by Yi Bajin just a few days ago, and then the other party said to myself. Separate your yin and yang chakras sealed into Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Naruto. Help them become stronger. Now, it's still the observation stage. Yi Bajin said that even if it is sealed, it can still come out to play, but the feeling is still weird. It is not good to think that in the future it is likely to grab alcohol and drink llamas with itself. But this kid is very dumb, too lazy to talk to Naruto. Kurama grabbed Bajin's wine gourd and took a sip, and didn't know where to find a pack of spicy noodles and put it directly into his mouth. Call. This hot feeling as the fox's man spicy strips were originally insensible to Kurama. But with the idea of trying something fresh, I used the small vault to buy a few packs and tasted it. After all, something was researched by Yi Bajin, and it shouldn't be too bad. But this thing has become its favorite since that day. Well, this kid still can't see it. Do you think anyone can sit so securely on the shoulders of the uncle? After taking a look at Bajin, Kurama took another sip of wine in a melancholy manner and sighed slightly. Probably in my uncle's heart, the perfect Jinchuriki is still you. It's a pity, you are too strong. Depressed? The atmosphere of the ramen restaurant is still the same, the first time I have an egg in my bowl. Needless to say, Yu Xian brought it here simple feelings, no big scenes and heartbreaking too complicated. But it is also the most difficult to find. Smiling, Bajin put the egg into his mouth. Of course, you will never understand a woman's mind. Can't guess what she is thinking at this time. I heard that eggs are rich in protein, which can supplement something. This is what my mother told me secretly. Shi Yan squeezed her small fist with a hint of pink on her face. Maybe she doesn't feel the pressure of being a couple recognized by the best man. But her father and mother have always been nervous. Their son-in-law is the hero who rescued Konoha from the ruins. Highly powerful, you can even exercise all the rights that Hokage can use. My daughter follows such a person, and being a parent is very stressful. I hope my daughter is happy, and I am afraid that other women will covet it, so it is important to educate in advance. Especially the words that Uzu Xian's mother and daughter said only when they got married the day before yesterday. Directly let Maoyue Xian realize protein, what is it for? Can it be eaten? On the first day of freshman's enrollment, as Chunin, Iruka was very responsible. Some relationships need to be cultivated from an early age to allow them to recognize that their companions are not too autistic. So, in order to enhance this feeling, he decided to take the whole class to the food street to eat roast. It's a pity that the two geniuses ran faster than anyone after school, and they didn't stop them. So he could only bring other classmates to the food court, but what he didn't expect was that he sat in the distance. The figure in the doorway attracted the attention of all the friends in an instant. With long flowing black hair, her gentle face was rubbing Naruto's hair. There is a long black knife slung around his waist, and a cute fox that goes with him. It's the adult. Would such a big man accompany his brother to eat ramen like 880? Ordinary people will always have a kind of incomprehension about the lives of other aloof people. I even think everything about them is extremely mysterious. But after lifting the veil, he is so approachable. Especially the gentle smile, not as cold-blooded as the legend. Mizuruka, the brother that Naruto said, right? A child from a commoner's family curiously stretched out his finger and pointed at Yi Bajin, just as he spoke. Neji, Tenten, and Xiao Li at the back of the team raised their heads instantly. They met Iruka's team by chance, they just came over for dinner. Naruto's brother. Reminiscent of the kid who was introducing himself, shouting loudly that he would surpass his brother in the future. Brother, then became Hokage's manifesto. Iruka smiled. Yes, it's him. Huh, is Naruto's brother very good? Another Shui Niu asked curiously. Not everyone knows what Naruto's brother means. Yi Kenpachi's name may not be strange, but those heroic deeds always feel too far away from them. it's more than amazing. Neji suddenly spoke. Awesome is not enough to describe that man. Seemingly excited, Neji took a deep breath, because all the Konoha village you see is his legend. The first is more. Codeword ing. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 155. If one day, I can get your approval. Yi Bajian. A man called Konoha Kenpachi. Perhaps you have seen this name on that glorious merit wall, but the deeds on it are not comprehensive. My father once told me that if it weren't for his existence, Konoha would still be shrouded in the haze after the Third Ninja World War. Naruto's brother is Konoha Kenpachi? The students looked at the distance in surprise. Their faces were full of gentle men. I heard that Konoha Kenpachi's hands were covered with blood, but now it doesn't look like it at all. Although I saw it once during the entrance examination before, but now such close contact makes them have some unreal illusions. The man who is like a god above, actually lives by their side. I was only 6 years old and graduated early with Uchiha Itachi in the same period. From that day on, he became Uchiha Itachi's faith. Going deep behind the enemy line, the bull captures the second tail Jinchuriki and hits 8 tails hard. In the same year, Raikage, who caught the criminal alive, turned Neisha into a bargaining chip at the negotiating table and opened up the territory for Konoha. Joining Anbu has turned the Dark Anbu into a sacred organization that everyone yearns for. It also made the entire ninja world know the terrible Konoha Anbu, and even forced Sand Shinobi Village and Iwagakure's shadow Konoha to apologize personally. The Night Owl he founded is even more hailed as the elite of the elite. Among them, the strength of a ninja is extremely terrifying. That's what I've always pursued. After speaking in one breath, Neji stroked his forehead. Konoha Kenpachi. A well-deserved hero. Maybe when I was a child, people didn't remember what they posted, because they didn't remember things at all at that time. But there is one thing that Neji has never forgotten since he was a child. That year, he was carried by his father to the Konoha Central Plaza. He witnessed the black light rising into the sky breaking through the clouds. And the scene of the man raising his sword to ask the sky, like caged bird on his forehead, is imprinted in his soul. Everything we really do is for the village. A man who greatly admires my father. My father also said, he can change his destiny, but the prerequisite for changing fate is to get the other party's approval. No one will do nothing about waste. Listening to Neji's words, the surrounding children fell silent. It's hard to imagine that the man who was only 5 or 6 years older than them actually made such a feat for Konoha. Yamanaka Ino, Hyuga Hinata, Haruno Sakura, Tenten, Konoha Xiaoqiang, and the other children's eyes fixed on the man. The shock in my heart can no longer be added. Maybe only such a man is a well-deserved hero. The men who had refreshed the ceiling of the word, Shuai, have added countless auras to their impressions. In particular, the gentleness of his gestures is so natural. There is no doubt that Konoha's younger generation idols will be completely locked in the future. The most admirable thing is that I have never heard of him boasting with so-called heroic deeds, nor have I seen him talk about those things in a big way. This kind of low-key is really admirable, Uruka sighed. Yes. If an ordinary person accomplishes such a feat, and he is still a teenager, I am afraid he has already flown to the sky. But even in arrogance, that is what the other party deserves. But this man lived an ordinary life as always, silently doing various things for Konoha Chang. Just like the current Konoha pattern, they are all blueprints planned by him. Such a person is the most admirable. Once, a sentence came out from Yi Xiao accidentally, and the person who said it was officially Yi Bajian. Don't get me wrong, it's not that privacy secret, it's just an ordinary sigh. Uruka has always been a motto. What can really change the world is never just a few words, but actions. It is regarded as a classic sentence. What's the point of saying more? Only action can express one's true thoughts. Just like now, in order to express his love and care for learning, Uruka would rather spend his savings, please. Everyone has a meal to understand the heart of each child. This is a qualified teacher. Of course, this sentence may not have much effect on Naruto, but even Naruto will convince you. It's crucial to open your mouth to hide. For those who cannot be beaten, Naruto can't come up with just one sentence. I understand you, you are my friend. That's not realistic at all. As Neji said, he is a living legend, and his legend has just begun. No one knows where the end of the legend is, with eyes. Just look and feel with your heart. Seping felt the people's gaze, and Bajian turned his head and looked over curiously. It's Konoha's new generation. There is no doubt that they will be the inheritors of Konoha's will to succeed the older generation in the future. Witnessing their growth in person, this feeling made Bajian a little relieved, and nodded to them. At this moment, the Xiaoqiangs were extremely excited. The legendary man nodded to them. This kind of motivation is exactly what they need. Suddenly, a figure squeezed from behind. Neji Xiao Li stretched out his hand, but in the end he didn't stop his behavior. Represents the glory of Konoha, but Xiao Li suddenly thought of that Night Owl member, his own guy, when he used to practice in the woods. What the predecessors said. Now that Xiao Li has not graduated, Guy can only say that he is his predecessor, but Xiao Li already regards him as himself. Teacher. Bajian-san. Maybe you don't understand now, but when you grow up, you will understand. There is light in the heart, so you won't be attracted to that person consciously. This is from Guy's evaluation. Are you attracted unconsciously? Xiao Li nodded to Neji. Li Zhao. Step by step, he seemed to have exhausted all his courage and stood in front of Bajian. Looking up, Bajian's soft smiling face appeared in the white pupils. I understand. This is the last sentence he left in the original book. Hyuga Neji suddenly, Neji knelt on one knee, with strong persistence on his face, and once again plucked up his courage. A hand fell on Neji's forehead. Master Bajian. Looking at him in front of him, Bajian was a little confused, but a trace of regret appeared in his eyes. If one day, I can get your approval. Among men, there is no need to say too much. No matter how you look at it, he shouldn't have died in the hands of 10 tails. The speech was interrupted. Codewording because you say I'm a genius. The second is more. You can. I will wait for you before that day comes. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 156 Naruto and Sasuke, Different Answers. Brother, who is that person? The brief encounter at the ramen restaurant is over. Bajian took a disciple and a younger brother to the training ground. Maoyue Shion left a sentence in the old place and ran away. On the way, Naruto suddenly asked. That person, of course, refers to Hyuga Neji. She mustered up the courage to walk to the eldest brother and say those words, which made Naruto curious enough to produce cows. He also didn't understand the meaning of the words when the two were talking. Recognized. What to do after approval? Naruto wanted to know. Bajian looked at Naruto, and indeed, educating his younger brother should start at a young age. The persistent character of Naruto still exists, but that means that the nature of the virgin will also continue. And that kind of redundant virgin is not a good thing at all. His name is Hyuga Neji, a man who rebels against fate. After thinking about it, Bajian sighed. The tragedy of the Hyuga clan, Hyuga Hizashi, who was mortal in the original book, is still alive and well. But the unfair treatment between the branch house and the clan family, and Caged Bird is still the injury of the branch house. Protecting the clan is their mission, but they are also the Hyuga clan, and they are also a member of Konoha, so they ignore Konoha village and instead place the responsibility of guarding them on the clan. This kind of thinking is wrong. 603 doesn't even have the consciousness of Fugaku. Could it be that if Konoha was attacked, the Zong family could not go to the battlefield? We'll definitely stand up together, so in essence, this is a contradictory system. Even if it didn't happen that the father died in place of Hyuga Hiyashi, he still wanted to fight his fate. Seeing Naruto's confused look, Bajian patted his face. In this way, I will give you an analogy. After the Third Ninja War, when Konoha lost all high-end combat power, Cloud Shinobi Village suddenly came to Konoha for negotiations. At that time, I will be arrogant, trying to kill Hyuga Hiyashi, the head of the Hyuga clan. But at this time the mission of the branch house of the Hyuga clan is also revealed. In order to protect the blood of the clan, Hyuga Hizashi, the younger brother of Hyuga Hiyashi, died. Hyuga Neji, the son of Hyuga Hizashi, grows up. He feels desperate for the unfairness of this fate. If it were you, Naruto, how do you think about this kind of thing? Speaking a little bit about the process in the original book, Bajian stared at Naruto's eyes and waited for his answer. But the things that disappointed him, 80, are definitely going to happen. Naruto, who had never pondered a deeper meaning, directly said his own answer. Help Naruto change the fate of the Hyuga clan, wait for me to become Hokage, and abolish the clan and branch house system. A very firm sentence is also the original sentence in the original book after Naruto defeated Neji. But this is not the answer Bajian wanted. Give you another opportunity to think about it from Konoha's point of view. After hitting Naruto, Bajian continued. Unfortunately, after all, Naruto did not think of other solutions. I think Konoha has a problem with accepting the persecution even under hypothetical circumstances. This is not even compatible with the creed that Konoha will punish me even if it is far away, as Master said. Sasuke next to him suddenly spoke. From Konoha's perspective, the Hyuga clan is also a member of Konoha and needs to sacrifice. What's the use? A companion in exchange for peace. What is the use of such peace when it comes? Good. Konoha now has this kind of aura. Bajian nodded. But if the war comes, many people will die, and the elder brother also said that Konoha's high-end combat power will be exhausted. Naruto retorted. There is nothing wrong with that, but Bajian prefers Sasuke's answer. Naruto, you have to remember. If there really is such a day, you have to think about the Hyuga clan. It will be easy to change the future of the Hyuga clan, but for those who died in the Hyuga clan, you also need an explanation. And even if you change the other party's mission, the branch house doesn't need to be for the clan sacrifice, but the same thing happens again. Do you have to sacrifice the real clan head? This is a very profound question. In the original book, Naruto became Hokage, and indeed abolished the clan and branch house system. But the same thing happens again. How should I choose? As Hokage, if the villagers of a village can't protect them, why should they keep yelling and not let their companions be harmed? Well, you are still young. I hope you can give me better answers in the future. Shaking his head, Bajian sighed. After all, they are not Itachi. It is impossible to think about the problem from the perspective of Hokage at the age of 60. And even if it was Itachi, the contradiction in him was not small. Regarding Neji, he has made a decision. Since his father is still alive, changing the status quo of the Hyuga clan requires more determination and determination, which is in Neji's body. If he has the spirit of resistance, Bajian can help. If not, Bajian would not bother to manage the traditions of his family. If you want it, you need to pay. After all, it is a family business. Hyuga has survived by this system, which proves that although the branch house system is cruel, it is also effective. But if Neji can really do that step, it fully demonstrates his determination, and Bajian also has the idea of making Hyuga Hiyashi change his heart. It's not the kind of oppression by force, but the kind that is convinced. The daily practice began. This is the daily task of the two younger brothers. Just like myself and Itachi, one throws out the shuriken, the other splits with a knife. The difference is that they are replaced after a while. These two people are also the successors of Bajian and Itachi. Time passed in the full practice. In a blink of an eye, night has quietly fallen. After letting the two little ghosts go home by themselves, Bajian came to a familiar place. It is still the swing at the gate of the ninja school. The purple-haired girl sat dignified in a kimono and waited. The first time I saw her in such a formal way, Bajian's eyes flashed with surprise. This girl has always given him the feeling that it is capable and free and easy. Today, this pale pink kimono with long purple hair makes it more flavorful as you look at it. Sitting on the swing and lifting her up, the girl's words faintly penetrated into Bajian's ears.
This dress. It was worn by my mother when she got married. I changed the size. Wedding dress. Bajian helped the girl's long hair.
Hey, Changzi is still so attractive. Sword, go take a bath, I'm ready. Third more. Code Ing. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 157 Orochimaru's collaboration with Obito, he is the perfect container.
The night enveloped the earth. In the territory of Ninja World, a strange village appeared suddenly in a small humble country. Space and earth surging at the same time. Two figures appeared in place.
According to your statement, Orochimaru should have started to lay out the backhand after leaving Akatsuki a long time ago. The standing body still looked a little uncoordinated, and the mask was shaking violently when speaking. It stands to reason that half of his body was wiped out by the flash of consideration again, and he should take a good rest of his soul. But without further ado, I am afraid that the guy who borrowed Rinnegan won't be able to play the final role if he doesn't come. This effect is not to resurrect Uchiha Madara, but let him use the last resort to avenge Konaha. Obito believes that when Nagato learns that Conan has been taken away, he will do everything possible to avenge that kid. So it must be useful to keep him. Yes, he bribed the name of Tien Zhiguo to form his own village. Yin Village. Black Zetsu, with only one head exposed on the ground, said hoarsely. The Akatsuki organization has existed in name only. They are too lazy to care about the life and death of other people, and they don't have that leisurely mind. But Orochimaru is very useful. Let's go, talk to him, and use coercive measures if it doesn't work. Enduring the discomfort in the body abruptly, Obito launched Kamui again. And this time, under Obito's guidance, he entered the underground laboratory of Yin Village without any hidden meaning. Reappearing, Orochimaru is looking at them in amazement. The old nest was found. Even being so easily sneaked in, he didn't notice it. It's you, Uchiha. Mr. Madara, you can find it here. Just. How do you put it? Although I am a rare visitor, I am still very upset. With killing intent in his eyes, Orochimaru's voice was cold. Yin Village, devoted his efforts. In this world, who doesn't have a Naruto dream yet? This village is his unfulfilled dream. Engage in scientific research, no one bothers yourself to talk about yourself. It can be said that all the regrets he left in Konaha have been transferred to this small shinobu village. For nothing else, just let that stupid teacher look at him and see if he has the ability to manage the village. Once, he didn't want to be fourth Hokage. Unfortunately, in the end Sarutobi chose Minato. This is a lifelong regret. From that day on, he officially entered the darkness, choosing to live forever to see the final outcome of Konaha. And the appearance of that kid also gave him new ideas. Since I want to deny the past, then destroy it completely. Inheriting all of Danzo's original assets, such as the remaining small part of Senju Hashirama cells, as well as various experimental data, he once again ignited his ambitions. Since Akatsuki can't stay any longer, he will come back to brew his own storm. Orochimaru, this is a man who has no interest in wars that he did not start. But now these two people have appeared. It seems that my peaceful life is about to end. Don't be nervous, I'm here to chat with you. If we can cooperate. Obito said calmly. Sorry, you and I really don't have much to talk about. It's your eyes. Shulker Snake Hand with one hand raised, his ferocious tongue grabbed Obito's body. Without exception, this trick is empty. Space ninjutsu? It's as difficult as Namikaze Minato. Who is Orochimaru? The second ninja war killed people like hemp, and the third ninja war faced countless ninjas in the Kingdom of Wind. the attack surface was unchanging cold Kun. This kind of tentative attack failed, and it won't make him an accident. And he, with countless cards, didn't even put these two in his eyes. I'll say it again. I just came to talk. The body trembled very uncoordinated, and Obito's voice was filled with anger and struggle. Didn't fight back? Orochimaru sneered as he guessed, this Uchiha Madara is 100% fake. If the real Uchiha Madara was provoked in this way, he would have used coercive measures to attack himself. But the one in front of him, although he looks very angry, still maintains a cooperative attitude. Gradually calming down, Orochimaru nodded. I don't know what you want me to do or what you can give me. Except for the leader of Akatsuki's Rinnegan, other things Orochimaru feels that he doesn't need it. A lot of Senju Hashirama cells. Repair someone. But the next moment, Orochimaru's pupils shrank suddenly. Senju Hashirama's cell. This is the most scarce thing he is currently studying. Although Danzo has inherited a lot of cells from the past, it is still a bit wasteful to use those things to strengthen his toys. It's an attack on Konaha, a toy that proves its worth to 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. To strengthen those toys, all you need is Senju Hashirama's cells. He has found the toy container. Impure World Reincarnation is also being further improved, and he can release the real Zhuan Niu technique to Konaha with the accumulation of time. CC 3rd generation, and that kid, that perfect container. But it's not Uchiha Itachi, but Yibaji, and maybe it was Akatsuki's last glimpse, which made Orochimaru see something above chakra. Isn't that powerful attack and body that resists Shenluo Tianzhong the perfect container he needs? I think we can have a good chat. With a penetrating smile, Orochimaru nodded. Whatever is missing, someone will give something. This world looks so beautiful in Orochimaru's eyes for the first time. Orochimaru nodded. Obito was also relieved Senju Hashirama's cell? I don't know how much it has been cultivated with the Geto statue, and it is not a scarce item for him. What is certain is that both parties have common goals. Cooperation does not seem to be too difficult. Can you go out? Thank you. Konaha, mixed bath soup spring. Bajian hides a girl with purple hair in his arms. Soaking in the hot spring, it is naturally the same as the birth state, clean and neat, and the water surface is purple. Hair and black hair are tangled together, and just now, it was already a knock on the door. But it was not Bajian who kicked out, on the contrary, it was the damn woman who was aggressive in front of her and drank a wine bottle. She kicked the door of the private room, and then jumped down directly. The size of the double lamp is disproportionate to the figure of the woman. Why? I can't go in the private room that my apprentice packs. Tsunade sneered and slapped the surface of the water, and Bajian's face was splashed with the raised drops of water. I want to do something. Don't force me. Bajian's eyes were red and he stood up from Tongchen in a daze. At this moment, Tsunade was silly forth more code wording force. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 158 Trophy, The White Tiger of Dawn. The good night was ruined by the old woman after all. Walking down the streets of Konoha, Bajian sighed. The flame in my heart is a bit uncontrollable, no way. Tsunade came too at the right time. I guess she didn't expect Bajian and Shion to be so bold. After all, he still didn't do strange things in front of Tsunade. This is respect for girls. Looking at his right hand, and then at the swollen kabuto crotch pants, Bajian fell into thought. The old woman Tsunade took Shion away. The tone of the master is used. Yes, in order for her treasure girl to have sufficient combat effectiveness, she also gave her a little confidence in catching up with her. So Bajian asked Tsunade to accept her as a disciple. But what surprised him was that Maue Shion's talent was also completely unfolded. Recently, she has been thinking about adding strange power to the Sword of Chakra. This idea is very dangerous, 790, but there is no need to worry about Tsunade. Most importantly, Bajian still wants to pit the 100 healings mark from Tsunade. Well, if you think about Tsunade, who is still young and beautiful in the blog, you know the purpose of Bajian. When your wife is as beautiful as she was young, if this kind of car is driven, it should have a different flavor. Looking down, Bajian took a deep breath. But this state, I'm afraid something will happen if you go straight home. Enko habitually sleeps in his bed, although it's exciting. Ah, hand? Impossible. Konoha happened to have a poor woman who needed a lesson. Shaking his hand, Bajian sneered and walked forward. Rain Shinobi Village. No more. In the center of Konoha, in the courtyard next to Anbu. Jiraiya sighed. In front of him is his former disciple. After calming down a bit, he has been informed of the current situation in Rain Shinobi Village. Vacuum zone, not even a trace of it once existed. Physical disappearance. Jiraiya understands that this kind of blow is extremely big for Conan. But in fact, she must learn to bear all this. Otherwise, she won't have any foothold in Konoha in the future. Although a little cruel. Sighing again, Jiraiya, who wanted to talk to Conan, was a little bit distressed. How does this make him speak? I was sluggish and crying all the time, and then said Rain Shinobi Village had lost these words. Bajian's approach is too extreme, but there is always reason for him to do that. Jiraiya, who has determined that the son of prophecy is Yi Bajian, will no longer deny what Bajian did. Love. Because he has eyes, he can see Konoha's changes, and he can see whether it's in Konoha village. Villagers and ninjas cherish this kind of life extremely. What's more, the Night Owl team appeared there because they sneaked into Rain Shinobi village without authorization. If so, I'm afraid his responsibility is the greatest. So in this matter, he has no right to say whether it is plea or follow-up. Jiraiya still has this understanding ability. Let me do it. A figure fell in the yard, and the dark red eyes made Conan instantly confirm. The identity of the other party rushed over. I am going to kill you. Home is gone. The Akatsuki organization that had been nurtured for more than 10 years was gone. The only companion is alive and dead, but the probability is dead. This fate is personally unbearable. In despair, Conan just wanted to find his enemies and die together. But when she wanted to mobilize chakra and start the paper dance, she suddenly became soft and paralyzed. Fell into Bajian's arms. How strong is Shisui's illusion? The pupil technique that is so strong as Wanwajan is the kind of level that modifies the will of others. After returning to Konoha, Bajian specifically asked Shisui to make up an illusion. The activation conditions for this illusion are extremely strange. Want to destroy, but she can only be the first to destroy. The process of destruction was extremely enjoyable by Yi Bajian, the initiator. This is also the reason why he came here. You can go now. After a glance, Bajian beat up Conan and walked into the room. Leave it to him? Jiraiya shook his head and turned to leave. How Bajian arranges Conan is not up to him. Leave to eavesdrop. No, with that bastard's perception, it was not good to be discovered. Zhu Chun tapped. The sound of Huo Yunfu's death came from far away. Not long. There was a sound of the engine starting to burn oil and a strange muffled hum in the room. Conan, who made his own mind, completely lost the capital of resistance. Early morning. A ray of sunlight shone into the house and fell on the woman's face full of despair and anger. She was hit by illusion, and not once or twice. After the engine buzzed, she was already awake. 0. But when she rekindled her anger and wanted to use ninjutsu to kill the man in front of her, illusion. It started again. This time it is more intense than before. Even she is the one who takes the initiative. Shame. Desperate, she wanted to commit suicide, but the effect of the illusion was activated again. Attempted suicide. Attempted murder. The most important thing is lost. Even now, she is weakly leaning on the shoulder of the opponent and appears extremely submissive. Is this still me? The frantic images in her mind shocked her. I am the angel of Akatsuki. Messenger of God, why would such a thing be done? In the end, her gaze turned to the man next to her. The feeling that the anger of hatred has nowhere to vent is desperate. Don't look at me with that look. Instantly opened his eyes, Bajian grabbed the wine gourd next to him and took a sip. Shisui's illusion is too strong. Fortunately, the engine is good, not to mention the physical fitness is almost iron, so the fuel consumption of this car. That's the amount. Solved the problem left by Tsunade last night. Bajian feels that he can have a good talk with the other party. I will kill you. Conan calmed down, the hatred in his eyes was deep in his heart. Since it is an illusion, there is a way to crack it, although she has tried to disrupt chakra countless times, but it still doesn't work with 1.0. But all techniques have weaknesses, this is certain. When she recovers, the 600 billion detonation talisman must be given to Konaha. It's a pity that her idea was instantly seen through by Bajian. Bajian squeezed the opponent's chin with one hand, and Bajian smiled. Honestly, by who? As the name suggests, the origin of the title is sometimes so appropriate. Shaoji's white tiger is also a white tiger. In return for your satisfactory service, I can tell you the truth. For example, whose eyes are Uzumaki Nagato? Another example is who used that poor guy. Looking closer to Conan, he looked at the other person in surprise. Bajian smiled playfully. Do you want to hear it? Then do an illusion in the middle? Fifth more. Codewording I don't know if it will be blocked, gone. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 159 Stay alive Kakashi, you don't owe anyone. You are not human. It's noon. Conan's breath was extremely unstable, and he collapsed weakly on the mat. You are not human at all. I am number one. You can't not know. His face was flushed. Conan finally didn't have that face to say the whole thing. Sorry, me too. Bajian glanced at her calmly. Originally, she didn't need to toss to this level, but when the illusion was activated, she always wanted to die with Bajian. Until just now, after leaving the illusion, she has only now given up the idea of suicide and murder. Or she doesn't have that strength anymore. If I didn't want to know the truth about Nagato's eyes, I'm afraid I would have passed out. Completed a full set of difficult movements based on a single thought. And please pay attention, I'm only in charge of lying down the whole time. Are you trying to kill people and punish your heart? Conan is short of breath. It looks like a gentleman. How come here alone became a scum? All right. Leaping up, the black martial arts suit has fallen into Bajian's body. The wine gourd and the knife straddled his waist. His gaze has returned from the playfulness of 04 to a normal state. He never affects himself because of such things. Yahiko's death was a conspiracy. Leaning on his daughter's shoulder and sniffing the smell of the unknown shampoo, Bajin spit out a word and turned away. Was Yahiko's death a conspiracy? Conan's pupils contracted, and his brain almost fainted with a buzzing sound. The death of her companion has always been a pain in her heart. It was also because he personally killed Yahiko that Nagato painfully became what it is today. Gone? Conan eagerly wanted to hear the next content, ignoring the messy lining, and hurriedly grabbed Bajin's hand and urged him to continue. Take a good rest. After 3 days, the attitude of service determines whether I will continue. Bajin smiled gently and stroked Conan's light blue hair. If one day, you can be conscious without illusion, I will finish it all. You are not human at all. With a scream, Conan couldn't stand it anymore and fainted. Shaking his head and covering her with a quilt, the man turned and left. Reduction requires a process. There will always be a day when the illusion will disappear, so Conan will completely dispel the other party's thoughts of self-destruction before then. This is Bajin's idea. As for the truth, there must be a sense of expectation. Otherwise, what if she becomes even more desperate after listening? In essence, she is not bad, she just followed behind Nagato and did some things that she shouldn't have done. Opportunity he gave, whether she can hold it, it's up to her. When he walked out of the room, Bajin directly bit his fingers and patted the ground without any knots. Summoning technique 2 from wooden golem, boom. The white smoke dissipated, and wooden golem looked around with a kitchen knife in confusion. To be honest, she is cooking lunch for the host's old sister. Give you a task. There's a woman in the room. Remember to deliver her food on time. If she wants to go out, stay with her. Squeeze the cat ears decorated by wooden golem, Bajin said. In contrast, wooden golem's awareness is much stronger than the one in it, and even the speed of entering the maid role is significantly better than the others. Very nice cat ears. Nodding to her, Bajin vanished in a flash. Curiously, wooden golem walked into the room, and 5 minutes later she rushed out with a blushing face. You can tell what's going on with your eyes, goodness, if I let Anko know about this. Shaking his head violently, wooden golem swallowed and didn't dare to think about it anymore. Steel fishy. You have today too turned over. Byakugan put the kitchen knife away from wooden golem and went in to help tidy up the room. No way, that's her master, and after seeing this scene, she suddenly realized that the kid had grown up. Isn't it? Danger, talked. Konaha training ground. Since yesterday's mission was delayed a lot of time, some of the original training plans have not yet been implemented. The line is over, so Kakashi strengthened his reserve training today. Known as the Devil Instructor, Kakashi personally played today. A voice came, Kakashi nodded and walked to the next tree. Today's owl seems a little different from the past. Well, it has matured a lot, maybe it's more handsome. Taking the wine gourd from Bajin, Kakashi pulled off his mask and took a sip. Chat. It's been a long time since I talked to Xiao Xiao like this. Although the tacit understanding is still there, but after all, it takes time to train newcomers now. Patting Kakashi on the shoulder, Bajin's expression became serious. If Uchiha Obito is still alive and wants to destroy the world, destroy Konoha, would you? He shot. The last time I appeared in Konoha pretending to be Uchiha Madara, I wanted to release Nine-Tails' identity as a masked man, Namikaze. Minato already knew, but he told Minato to keep Kakashi's secret for the time being. The reason is also easy to figure out. At that time, Kakashi was just a teenager. Even if I have experienced a lot of things, my mentality has matured. It can be compared to the surprise, pain, and pain of Obito in the Fourth Ninja War in the original book. It took quite a while to adapt to this change, so Bajin didn't tell him directly that Obito was still alive. But now, Kakashi has already seen Obito while heading to Rain Shinobi Village. I don't know if there will be a familiar feeling, but the time has come to tell him about it. Because soon, this account will be completely liquidated. It is necessary for Kakashi to be mentally prepared in advance. You just need to go back to me, will you shoot him? Looking at Kakashi, who was visibly stunned, Bajin asked again. Obito. A name hidden deep in memory. Holding Bajin's wine gourd tightly, Kakashi finally let out a sigh of relief. If he really wants to do that, I will definitely stop him. As Konoha's ninja, your subordinates, don't worry about my consciousness. Even if he died in battle, will not live up to the title of 430 Night Owl Team. This is Kakashi's consciousness. Good. Patting Kakashi on the shoulder, Bajin smiled relievedly. People always change. The page of Kakashi Anbo has been turned, and now he is a real Konoha shinobi. Every Konoha ninja has the spirit to fight to the death for the things that need to be guarded behind him. Only Kakashi behind him pricked his ears and heard the last words the man said before he left. But he knows why you did it, he just completely denied the world and became pervert. Standing up, Bajin grabbed the wine gourd and walked forward. Examining Kakashi's eyes again, Bajin pressed his ears. Obito is not dead, and saw you kill Lin. He is just a pawn, I can tell you very responsibly, from now on don't have Qianhe's psychological burden of killing Lin, because it was a conspiracy against Obito. 6 more completes. Thank you readers again for your support. Many thanks. 6th more. Live well Kakashi, you don't owe anyone. Ask for a wave of flowers and tickets. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. But I can tell you more than that. Especially people who value feelings more, the more they will do this. This is the real Will of Fire. You know the neurosis of the Uchiha clan. When the faith collapses, it's normal to go to darkness. In 2 sentences, what did Obito of probability go through from white to black? Chapter 160. Next plan, prelude and end. In 5 years, those few ninja villages have kept their promises, and the supplies they sent have not decreased. However, it can be seen from the attitudes of the ninjas who sent the supplies in recent times that the contradictions hidden in their hearts may have taken root. But with Konoha's current strength, I don't think they dared to defy the previous treaty. Konoha, inside the Hokage office. Minato sorted out the information in his hand while analyzing the current situation with Bajian. In 5 years, the major ninja villages have recovered to varying degrees. But the other 4 ninja villages have to pay tribute to Konoha every year, a huge amount of supplies. Don't talk about Kirigakure for the time being. After all, it is an affiliated village unless Terumi Mei is stupid and will stop paying tribute. The shadows of the other 3 ninja villages must have accumulated a lot of grievances in their hearts. This is inevitable, and no one wants to hand over the hard-earned capital. But they could not do anything about it. Konoha's strength had already exceeded their expectations. To put it in an appropriate metaphor, Konoha 5 years ago was like the first ninja village that had just awakened and is still in the recovery stage, but now, the sleeping beast has completely stood up and stretched out its sharp claws. No one knows who it will pounce on next second. The depressive atmosphere will make the surrounding beasts unconsciously want to retreat. This is the spirit of the first ninja village, so, what are we going to do in the next phase? Rubbing his temples, Minato, who has been so busy recently, asked. As Hokage, there are too many things to deal with. He talked with Bajian a few days ago. After all, the disciple has grown up, he thinks it is time to throw that burden on him and then take a rest by himself. It's just that the result is similar to what he thought. I didn't even think about this land, so I directly rejected Minato's proposal. When Hokage? No interest for a short time, and in the long run, when unification really comes, what's the meaning of the title of a shadow? At that time, maybe it will be a little attractive for Bajian to be seated. Anyway, now it is impossible for him to become the 5th Hokage. And Namikaze Minato is still very young and can be beaten. Enbu's first 5-year plan is over. I just train the soldiers blindly and don't really feel the battle will not improve much. The second 5-year plan can begin. After thinking about it, Bajian stood up and walked to the ninja map hanging next to Naruto's office, and reached out his hand to pick it off and put it on Naruto's desk. Then, with the pen on the table, I pointed to the small country between the big countries. Before the outbreak of the future war, these shinobu villages and countries will be recovered and completed. This will be conducive to true unification in the future, and will not make the remaining powers feel too sudden. The second 5-year plan. Regain the small country and control those small forbearance villages. Perhaps the small countries living in the cracks of the great powers complained about the unfairness of the world countless times when the war struck, just like a buffer zone on the battlefield of the great powers. This is their destiny. Weakness means being bullied and slaughtered, but they are not without choice. Now, the opportunity lies in front of them to merge those kingdoms into Konoha's plate. If someone attacked again, it would be provoking Konoha. In this way, the rights of a small country's name will be weakened and will become a local official, but it is a great boon for ordinary people in those countries. This is the second step in the Bajian plan to change this chaotic ninja world. After listening to his disciple's words, Minato fell into deep thought. No one has ever done this kind of annexation of small countries and expansion of one's own territory. Because those small countries, even Konoha himself, are considered battlefields as they should. Never considered that land. For example, the country of rain. That's the default battlefield for the land of fire, land, wind, and need. If it weren't for the land of water, I'm afraid I would join Kirigakure's ninja clashes. But Bajian's words opened up new ideas for him. There is necessary blood before peace. This road of unification has been going on, and it has become more and more shining. Is that so? Then I'll be busy next time. The world of ninja is not small. Some ancient countries still retain their own systems, and it is difficult to implement them. After pondering for a moment, Minato nodded, affirming Bajian's plan. This is true unification. It's hard not to be afraid, but the one who fears is losing the confidence to persevere. But Bajian, what do you think is your chance of winning the battle against Konoha? Slowly, Minato raised his question again. Is the so-called infinite Tsukuyomi and Obito's problem really so difficult to deal with? He really couldn't think of Konoha who could compete with him now. In terms of high-end combat effectiveness, Yi Shao, composed of several of his own disciples, is probably the most elite force in the entire ninja world. There are also Anbu ninjas that have been screened. Most importantly, the growth of Konoha Kenpachi's strength over the past few years will amaze many people. Infinite Tsukuyomi is just the former Chin. Bajian shook his head and looked into the air along the window. No matter how infinite Tsukuyomi plans Obito, Bajian is not afraid. After stroking Zanpakuto, Bajian even wanted to laugh. Immortality can only be sealed in the dirty soil? There is no such thing under his knife. Zanpakuto specialize in killing souls. The real enemy is never Obito or Uchiha Madara, but the mysterious Ōtsutsuki clan. Let Ōtsutsuki Kagaya, the goddess of Mao, the ancestor of chakra, the Ōtsutsuki clan. What kind of existence is that clan? Bajian's knowledge is also limited. So in the final analysis, he needs to have a good chat with Kagaya-ji to learn more about the origin and strength of that clan. Before discussing in depth with the opponent and using difficult skills to conquer the opponent and ask the source of that clan, it is necessary to improve Konoha's overall combat effectiveness. Is the age of ninjas over? Who gave you the courage to say such things? These words have no meaning to Minato for the time being, and they are unnecessary. The strength of the Ōtsutsuki clan per capita is 6 paths, and the 2 pillars of Ōtsutsuki's ruthless iron elbow can only be dealt with Uchiha, which is strong and outrageous. Nuogans, in short, eat those small countries and small ninja villages first, and leave this to Anbu's reserve team. Anyone who performs well is allowed to enter Anbu officially. Everyone has equal opportunities and is supervised by other members of the Night Owl team. If Kakashi is in trouble, they will also take action. After speaking in one breath, Bajian took a sip of wine and relaxed. How about you? Minato asked curiously. I enjoy illusion first. I will go out when I am about to enjoy it, and find a silly Bashan to have a good chat. I really don't understand what you are saying. Minato smiled wryly. Whether it was the so-called infinite Tsukuyomi or the former Chin, he didn't understand his fate before the real test came. The only certainty is, although the child has grown up, great changes have taken place. But that heart still belongs here. The first is more. Daoshui came back late. Codewording: thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 161. Give me a Tsunade pill. Familiar room, familiar sunlight. The same 2 people. You can say it. Breathing slightly quickly, leaning on Bajian. The new round of illusion resistance is over. Conan asked hurriedly regardless of his condition. Cover it up and put on a fire cloud suit. Those don't matter anymore. What you should know and see, this man is already master. She couldn't resist this illusion at all. It has no effect on other people, only when he is around this man, he will become crazy like a juicer. Terrible illusion. According to the agreement, after the end of each day, the man would tell himself some secrets behind Akatsuki's organization. He mentioned before that Yahiko's is a conspiracy. What is the problem? As for now, it's all about trading. Gritting his teeth, Conan leaned against Bajian. It is indeed a conspiracy. I have no reason to lie to a stupid woman. Bajian replied faintly. Speaking of which, it has something to do with Konoha before. The idea of Wade really agrees, until someone finds out the negotiation between him and the big country and touches the back of the white who is breathing rapidly. Bajian tilts his head. He told Hanzo that according to the development speed of Akatsuki, he has continued to develop as Rain Shinobi Village. The first, 243. So, he caught you during the negotiation, and the final result forced Yahiko to death. The days of letting will come to an end. Ren Shao's organization fell apart. Shimura Danzo. It turned out to be him. Conan trembled, his hands clinging to the quilt tightly. Since Bajian told him yesterday that there was a conspiracy in Yahiko's death, she has been thinking about it. Grind this thing. Because Akatsuki and Rain Shinobi Village have the same position, it is not impossible to unite. In addition, Hanzo of the Salamander, the leader of Rain Shinobi Village, who is very ambitious and powerful, why did he use conspiracy and tricks against Akatsuki? This strange feeling made Conan couldn't stop thinking. Now the truth is clear. Indeed, the man in front of him has no reason to deceive himself. After all, the current self belongs to him. Deceiving a plaything, there is no value at all. However, I have already avenged you this grudge. Conan. Bajian took a calm look and continued, I have already said that it was Konoha from before. The perpetrator of this incident is dead and even tied to the Konoha Glory Meritorious Wall. Above the Pillar of Shame. Revenge? Conan shook his head gently. Yahiko is dead. After that incident, Nagato's temperament changed drastically. Akatsuki has also changed its appearance. The purpose of mutual understanding has become to make the world feel pain, only feeling. Only when we suffer the same amount of pain can we now break out to find peace. The word revenge is easy to put away, but the final result is hard to imagine. Even if Nagato is still alive and he learns the news, he won't make any changes. Anything else? She knew about the conspiracy of Yahiko's death, but about the secret behind Akatsuki's organization, what he knew should be. It should be more than that. You know the rules. Bajian raised his brows, then put his hands behind his head and closed his eyes. Are you still human? Conan squeezed his fist angrily, and finally leaned in helplessly. 3 pulls in the day. Nagato's eyes are not his own. The man left another sentence and left lightly, leaving behind his tired self. It seems that if you want to know whose eyes are, I'm afraid you'll have to wait until tomorrow. This bastard said another nonsense. Sighing, standing up laboriously, Conan walked to the bathroom. Konoha training ground. The Anbu reserves who just got the news are taking Shisui Kakashi their final test.
And more than 200 Anbu elites are ready to go. There is only one mission, to recover the small ninja village and break into the small country. Obey, or force obedience. Bajian's murderous intentions are not so serious. He can't wipe out all these small countries. That's not realistic. Reform needs to be done step by step, so that they can feel the changes brought about by the integration, which is the most important thing. These are the things that test Anbu's reserve capabilities. A corner of the training ground. Bajian, as usual, slashed into the air with one blow. It's not far from having the power to cut down this world. Over the years, some experiences have been scattered actively or passively, but overall the progress of template unlocking. It's not slow, but also because of the long-term swing of the knife to complete daily tasks, a lot of flat-cutting products have been obtained. With the points he has accumulated now, it is enough to redeem some powerful items. But those are not important to Bajian. His system exists and has grown over the years. He has been destined to be a lunatic who rushed into the battlefield with a knife. King of Flat Chop. Jianzhang. A figure fell in front of Bajian. I miss it a bit, I haven't practiced with Jianzhang for a long time. Anbu is expanding. As a member of the Night Owl team, he also has his own duties, responsible for training juniors and assessing some. Excellent talent. He likes this job very much. But today, Jian Sangyu came over by himself, as if he had something to confess, that idiot had grown up. Bajian looked at Itachi's face and just wanted to say something but was stunned. Gone, I just said I forgot something. Turning over by Akugan, he thrust Zanpakuto into the ground and pointed it to the forehead of Itachi. Wait for me here. Again. Rubbing his forehead, Itachi gave a wry smile. However, he also learned this gesture of pointing at others with his fingers. Give me a Tsunade pill. All the way body flicker technique, Bajian came to Konoha Medical Department and kicked the office of the medical minister just to see. Tsunade that processes files. Since Tsunade broke Bajian's good deeds that day, the two have not said much. Perhaps it was an illusion, he found that this old woman would blush too. Are you frightened? Also, seeing where she was staring when she came out of Tanquan, Bajian felt blushing. This kind of thing is normal. However, the so-called Tsunade pill is not Tsunade's son or something, but a kind of medicine. The effect is obvious. It is a new type of medicine that greatly expands the meridians in a short time. It is also the return of Tsunade to wood. One of the achievements after Yi. With this thing, she directly engraved her name on the merit wall, which is true for Sarutobi Hiruzen. Times autistic. Expanding the meridians means that the amount of chakra circulating at the same time will be increased, and the power of using ninjutsu will be increased several times. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. When the ninja is fighting, the effect of a pill is very obvious, which greatly improves the ninja's life-saving ability. I have something to do, hide it first. After a long time, a roar came from Konoha Medical Department all the way. After thinking about it, Tsunade didn't bother to ask. He stood up and took out a small blue pill and shook it. Only the bewildered Tsunade remained in the room. That's right. If you want to, promise me a condition. With a dangerous smile, Tsunade slowly pressed to Bajian's face. Is it borrowed? Yes, you are ready to contact me when you come back. Code Ing. Remember to take a shower at that time. I borrow your uncle. He grabbed the medicine bottle and turned and left. Miss Luxury Car was stunned and a little puzzled. As a senior nanny, she understands that this kid has a lot of pervert physique, so she will definitely not use it under normal circumstances. Of course, there are side effects, and weakness for a few days is inevitable. You want to take Tsunade pills. The second is more. Chapter 162 Advanced Missions, Crowned King. Open your mouth. After returning to the Konoha training ground, Bajian walked to Itachi and said. Open your mouth. The puzzled Itachi nodded and opened his mouth slightly. Grunt. A small blue pill went down his throat into the ferret's body. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. When that uncontrollable force appeared, Itachi's nostrils burst out of 2 white lines, flushing with a suffocated face. What is this? Start practicing. The effects of Tsunade pills have great side effects when used on others, but Itachi is different. Expanding the meridians will make him more comfortable. In fact, Tsunade was on the way to the treatment of Itachi, and had the idea to develop a new type of Tsunade pill. Do you take medicine and practice? Itachi panted heavily, and the shuriken fell into his hand. Swish. The sound of breaking through the air hit. But the next movement of golden iron whistling was not heard. Looking at it suspiciously, Itachi's brain buzzed and became extremely blank. The shuriken was shot out. The heatable position. I haven't counted 1.2.3 yet. Falling to the ground with a face full of pain, Bajian twitched his body and looked down at the shuriken on his chest. Did I kill Jianzhang? Itachi rushed to Bajian in despair, his eyes were bloodshot, and he was greatly irritated. But just when the bloodshot was about to turn into bloody tears, stimulating the pupils to begin to evolve, he suddenly felt something was wrong. With a sneer, Itachi squatted in front of Bajian and sighed. Jianzhang, although I really want to continue to cooperate, it is really hard for me to imagine that your body will be injured by the shuriken. Emotions can't be substituted, the acting skills are too bad. Oh, Bajian nodded calmly, then drew out the shuriken from his chest. That being the case, I can only use the killer. Both hands quickly formed seals. Haishu Yu Shen Wei, summoning technique. Boom. When Urzuzi's figure appeared in place, Itachi was stunned. Puff. He was still behind in a daze, and saw Jian-sang grabbing his hand and using his shuriken to pierce the brother's chest in front of him, making him even more confused. I killed my brother. Shadow clone. No, it didn't disappear. There is also this real touch feeling. I really killed Sasuke. Finally, the emotions that had been brewing for a long time reached the culmination again. The 3 hooks of the ferret burst instantly, and red blood and tears flowed under the new flowers. The nerves that had been strained from the pain of killing Bajian finally split. Mission completed. Looking at his masterpiece with satisfaction, Bajian let go of his grip on Itachi. And the 2 pillars slowly deformed in the next second, becoming a wooden pile. Wood-style clone. This is a spare item borrowed by Yamato. It can be used in case it sees through that he won't be stabbed to death by the shuriken. Mushi's clone is much more real than Shadow clone, and it is impossible for Itachi without Mangekyo to find the flaws. Fortunately, everything went well. First use Tsunade pill to withstand the fragile meridian in Itachi, and then personally stimulate it. For geniuses, the opening of Mangekyo does not require a complicated process. Just witness the death of a loved one. In the original work, Shisui's Mangekyo had been formed before Shisui had completely jumped into the Nanga River. From that time on, he who likes to eat sweets began to eat hard for a lifetime. What originally looked like a trace of a decree pattern, but also officially transformed into a tear groove. I have tears, but I can't cry. Only on rainy days, I like to stand outside and soak in the rain. In Kisami's words, standing in the rain like this, others don't know if he is crying. Thump. After Mangekyo was turned on, he went over with medicine strength. Itachi fell forward weakly. Taking the opponent's body naturally, Bajian patted him on the shoulder. Take a good rest, you who own Mangekyo should be able to see more things. Jianzhang nodded. Itachi closed his eyes. Today, he was a bit stimulating, and he really needs a good rest. Bajian didn't say much. The Uchiha family with Mangekyo is essentially different from the Uchiha without Wanwahian. The pupil technique and Susanoo brought by Mangekyo are the powerful capital of the Uchiha clan. Stimulate Itachi to open his eyes for a moment, and even if he acts alone in the future, he doesn't have to worry about anything with Itachi's combat IQ. As for overuse of Mangekyo and loss of pupil power, Bajian has his own way. Not to mention that the Urzuzi is there. His system mall has the kind of pupil recovery eye drops, it's not expensive to deal with and use first. When the points are sufficient in the future, you can consider directly redeeming a small portion of Indra and Ashura chakra. It's not time yet, so there is no need to think about that. The time to stimulate Itachi's eyes is set to be today because tomorrow, except for him, the Night Owl team will go to various places in the ninja world to help Anbu's elites to take control of the ninja village. The other ninja village Bajian is not worried. Only Ōtsutsuki village where Orochimaru is located is really a trouble. One of the legendary Sannin, the forbidden technique scientist with the snake pill always hopes to get a perfect face. Itachi who joined Akatsuki in the original book is Orochimaru's target. But after the match, Orochimaru regretted it. He can't beat Itachi. That's why I set my sights on Sasuke, who is also from the Uchiha clan. To be sure, Orochimaru must have thoughts about Itachi's body now. But for now, there is no need to worry about this issue. At the moment Mangekyo bloomed, Orochimaru had lost the opportunity to seize his body. Frequent use of living corpse reincarnation's snakehead, the soul has begun to weaken, and other attacks can also be dealt with, but it is a natural nemesis that encounters illusion. Tsukuyomi and Amaterasu, Susanoo's artifact. This is a man whose fighting power has exploded after opening his eyes. The last worry can be put down, and Bajian can start to prepare for what he wants to do. Within 5 years, Konaha will secretly control the entire small and medium-sized ninja world. After taking a look at the unexpected task that suddenly appeared on the system panel after receiving the Conan service in the morning, Bajian's eyes showed a touch of precision. Sudden advancement task, crown as king. Task content. The Ōtsutsuki clan regards the earth as their nursery, but the new king is about to be crowned and the time to declare sovereignty has arrived, and does not restrict any means to eliminate all hidden dangers on the earth. This task is the ultimate task of Naruto world, unlimited time, unlimited way. Quest reward. 100,000 flat points, open the first stage of the Zanpakuto Solution Advanced Quest, and officially exempt from becoming the leader of the Naruto world. Bonus. Unknown. Sudden advancement. This kind of mission appeared twice, the first time Bajian directly opened Zanpakuto Shikai. Although it is an unlimited task. But also prepare in advance. With Itachi on his back, Bajian looked at the sky. It's time to talk to her. Third more. Code word in Talji. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 163 Sage Mode, The Knife That Splits the Moon. The war-torn ninja realm is still slowly recovering its abilities. When ninjas' anger recovers to a certain level, new disputes will begin. It takes time and determination to completely change the world. The key point of the change lies with someone in Konoha village in the Land of Fire. Konoha village. At the end of a certain street, Jiraiya with a popsicle in his hand chanted these words repeatedly, and even the old popsicle in his hand began to melt. How can I help you? A voice came. Jiraiya tilted his head, and the familiar figure sat beside him. Taking the popsicle that Jiraiya handed over, Bajian was a little confused. Anbu Reserve, and Yi Xiao members have all been dispatched. It's not that Jiraiya can enjoy special treatment without having to perform tasks, but after seeing the changes in Nagato and Conan, he was a little confused and took a leave of absence and returned to Mount Myoboku. After thinking about why Conan, Nagato and Yahiko have changed, he will continue to keep up with the team. Bajian is not the kind of unreasonable person. Jiraiya's personality is also the same. If he can't figure it out, he will always think about it. But if you are confused, you will be confused. What do you want me to do? After taking a bite of the popsicle, Bajian breathed out. It's been crazy to play with Conan these days. Basically, I always live in the room where Conan is. If it weren't for the kittens that were cleaned up by wooden golem, the room could no longer be kept. In contrast, Bajian also told Conan about the secret behind Akatsuki. To this day, Conan was completely silent after listening. Even stiff, she didn't even go to the illusion to start by herself, so she took the initiative to start a new round of service. I can see that she is more fascinated than before she learned the truth. The meaning of Akatsuki's existence is just a game of chess for others. Use Nagato to revive Uchiha Madara. So what they have been pursuing. The eyes of immortals appear on mortals, not to change the world, but a conspiracy of one person. This kind of blow is a bit big to her. There is no hope for everything in the future. On the contrary, relying on the arms of this man who took everything from her, she has such a sense of security, and she even gave birth to a very crazy idea. Nagato's road can't go, what about Yi Bajian? What can he bring to this world? Conan would love to see. But, Bajian has already said everything that should be said, so how Conan chooses in the future will be up to her. The leisure time has passed, and, 4080, Bajian intends to leave for the moon today. Unexpectedly, Jiraiya stopped him in advance. If you can you go to Mount Myoboku together? After a long silence, Jiraiya suddenly said. Big Toad Sage wants to see you. Big Toad Sage. Toad Pill. Bajian was stunned and blurted out 3 words. If someone calls the immortal's name directly, Jiraiya might be angry, but the one in front of him can only shake his head and sigh. Toad balls are indeed the name of Toad Sage. Only recently, after the confused Jiraiya found the other party to chat, he realized that things had become a bit more complicated. The prediction seems to have changed, and I don't know the specifics. Scratching his head, Jiraiya said inexplicably. In the past, Toad Sage only said that his disciple would be the prophecy that will change the world, but now, there is another prophecy. A prophecy he didn't understand at all. There is one more road to change. Failure. The ninja world will be destroyed, succeed, and true peace will come. Jiraiya didn't understand this at all. So he wanted Bajian to visit Mount Myoboku in person, and let Toad Sage see what went wrong with the prediction. Mount Myoboku. Bajian was lost in thought while eating the popsicle. To be honest, he doesn't have a lot of affection for Mount Myoboku's toads. The first reason is that they instigated Ōtsutsuki Hamura and Ōtsutsuki Hagoromo to seal their parents. It's another drama that killed her mother for good. It is very much like what Uchiha Itachi did in the original book. If possible, Bajian really wants to ask, when the so-called Duya stands in Konaha, he can destroy Konaha, then when Konaha is opposed to the ninja world, Duya stands on the side of the ninja world. Will he kill Konaha himself? The same is true. 2 unfilial sons, Ōtsutsuki Hamura and Ōtsutsuki Hagoromo, killed their mothers. It seems to have saved the world. On the contrary, the clumsy Ōtsutsuki Kagaya uses infinite Tsukuyomi only to cultivate weapons that can protect the world in the future. Although the method is wrong. But it is not impossible to change. I didn't try to hide my mouth, and I just beat my mother for a few months without stopping, and finally sealed my mother. But after a few months of shooting, all the surrounding land became a vacuum zone, and more people died than those in infinite Tsukuyomi. Then why do you say that you saved the world? From Kagaya's perspective, she also wanted to protect the world from being invaded by the Ōtsutsuki clan and create resistance forces. Who is righteous in the end? No one can explain it thoroughly. Only Toad Pill from Mount Myoboku is definitely not a thing. Those who can instigate others to kill their fathers and mothers are not good things in Bajian's view. So he doesn't like Danzo and Sarutobi. If it weren't for their persecution and methods, Itachi would not be so desperate in the original book. Well, when did I start double bidding? He came to this world, and Itachi took the wine gourd he handed over at the right time. So everything has changed. If the toad pill really has the ability to predict, it is reasonable to find the trajectory of the world changed. Directly putting the remaining popsicle into his mouth, Bajian exhaled and looked at Jiraiya. I wanted to say that a bunch of toads just want to see me and come by themselves. I'm not you, so no. But Mount Myoboku did help Konoha a lot, so I can give you this face. Quote. Only this time, next time I want to see me make an appointment in advance. Standing up, Bajian threw the popsicle stick into the trash can next to him and twisted his waist. Today at Conan, he didn't blindly pretend to be dead. After stepping on the accelerator, he has a wider range. The new world. Of course, this exercises your waist. Call. Just agree. Jiraiya breathed a sigh of relief. If Bajian really doesn't go to Mount Myoboku, he can't do anything. If that's the case, the confusion in his heart is afraid that he will have to wait until the day when the ninja world is transformed. It's clear, obviously, Jiraiya doesn't have the patience to wait, because the moment he saw Bajian, he had already determined that the other party was the son of prophecy. Therefore, I am particularly concerned about the prophecy change. The most fearful thing is that Bajian's mentality has changed, and the ninja world will suffer. Let's go, you say the direction. Grabbing Jiraiya's body, the two flew into the air. Sign a contract and reverse summoning. Convenience is indeed convenient, but Bajian never wanted to think of himself as a toad summoning beast. Ugly rejection is on the one hand, on the other hand he doesn't believe in the toad pill of Mount Myoboku at all. The world of ninja is not big. He who has the ability to fly can just watch the scenery on the road. Mount Myoboku. And the Wet Bone Forest, the inheritance place named after Raichi Cave. Known as one of the three holy places by the outside world. The spirit inside can use natural energy, and this energy is called immortality. Carrying Jiraiya all the way and admiring the scenery of Ninja World, the two finally came to the foot of Mount Myoboku. After opening the barrier and walking in, Bajian frowned. The natural energy here is more intense than the outside world, if people with strong perception even have a clear sense. Being approached by natural energy. Bajian's perception is naturally not weak, and he curiously stretched out his hand and a passing colored butterfly fell on his fingertips without any fear. Without rushing forward, the boy sat cross-legged in front of Jiraiya. The butterfly flapped its wings at the fingertips, and then landed on Bajian's shoulder. What is he going to do? The curious Jiraiya didn't interrupt Bajian, and quietly waited for the other party to change. But his expression suddenly changed in the next second. The same as the master of Sage Mode, he knows how the teenagers in front of Byakugan have changed. At this moment, the surrounding natural energy is constantly pouring into Yi Bajian's body, and that terrifying amount. More than the natural energy stored by him when he enters Sage Mode completely. Surprise. No, panic is right. According to Shen Zuo Xian Ren, who teaches his own fairy skills, inhaling natural energy without authorization will explode. Dead. If you want Master Sage Mode, novices must spit toad oil to try to absorb it. Interrupt him. Some anxious Jiraiya grabbed a large rock next to him and was about to smash it down. But a toad got out of the corner. Little Jiraiya, don't move. Shen Zuo Xian Ren. He shook his head at Jiraiya, and the old toad had extremely mixed emotions in his eyes. Real animals naturally perceive natural energy more clearly. It found that the energy that penetrated into Yi Bajian's body was absorbed smoothly. Not storage, but absorption, assimilation. Finally, I and nature began to merge. He is practicing his own perfect sage mode. It's better not to interrupt. Shook his head, Shen Zuo Shanren's heart was full of doubts. They can absorb natural energy because they are animals and are closer to nature. But how could this little devil still maintain this mentality when he was born in the ninja world? It doesn't understand at all. Sometimes it is misleading to treat people too much as adults. After reading some information about Shanshu, Bajian had an idea. That's humans, they are primates, why do they have to use other methods to treat themselves? Can you absorb natural energy if you change from a human to a ghost? So this kind of sage mode essentially has an error. Man is also an animal. Everything that man makes is made by transforming for the goal of survival. Everything. But returning to itself as the primate at the top of the food chain. That being the case, why use those external means to absorb natural energy? But the precedent is there after all. Bajian dared to absorb it directly because of his pervert physical quality, and he can even treat his own. The body is under 200% control. Even Conan said that if he didn't want to let go of his first illusion, she would be exhausted. This sentence very intuitively expresses the extent of this man's control over the body. Almost. 5 minutes later, Bajian's eyes suddenly opened. Without any accident, the boulder shattered directly. As for the features that should have been affected by sage mode, they all converged into a golden star in the middle of the forehead. As this chakra. But so, as if thinking of a certain plot in the original book, Bajian clenched his fist, looking so casual. Well, Madara said this too, but in the end it was very fragrant. What is this? Jiraiya swallowed and her face was decadent. Well, sage mode is extremely difficult to master. It is said that entering Sage Mode will show the characteristics of Toad. Why are you more handsome? And don't you think that you practice Sage Mode a bit faster? In the past, even if Bajian was strong, in reality, Jiraiya still felt that he could become Bajian's master, and waited for the time to teach him to become an immortal step by step. But now, this blow is too big. Yi, Bajian. Shen Zuo Shanren was calmer than Jiraiya, and nodded in front of Bajian. Big Toad Sage has a premonition that you are coming to Mount Myoboku. Let me come and pick you up. Premonition. Bajian nodded and followed behind him. The sentence just now is purely pretending. Sage Mode is indeed very strong, and the power of ninjutsu boosted by natural energy will be much greater than that of ordinary ninjutsu. But to be honest, he doesn't need ninjutsu. The embarrassment is not enough to say that starting from today, he has one more level of passivity. Others wielding a knife is a murder, and his wielding a knife is a murderer. Every knife he makes carries natural energy. Very outrageous. So Sage Mode is still useful for him. Come to Mount Myoboku. Don't say anything else, Master's trick is enough. Starting from this point, it's okay to see the Toad Pill. All the way forward, finally came to the hall on the top of the mountain. Jiraiya and Shen Zuo Shanren did not follow. As an old fairy who lived from the Kagaya era to the present, Toad Maru has the highest authority in Mount Myoboku. All it wanted to see was Bajian. Stepping into the hall, Bajian still maintains the golden light on Sage Mode's forehead, which looks particularly conspicuous. Looking up at a giant toad, Bajian frowned. There was a Buddhist bead hanging around her neck with the word pill in the middle. Toad Pill, you can't go wrong. You came. Pacify the people in troubled times. Maybe every day in order to maintain the continuation of life, it is sleeping, but today it is extremely awake. Don't dare to be, just tell me if you have something. Nodding to the Toad Pill, Bajian is straightforward. Well, I appreciate your straightforwardness. Then I will ask you directly. In order to protect the world, would you choose to use infinite Tsukuyomi to make weapons like Ōtsutsuki to rule your Uchi? The old guy has something. Bajian was stunned. Infinite Tsukuyomi, guard the world. It knows what Kagaya has to face. How can it be? Don't doubt, this world belongs to its own power after it was originally used. The copyright of the novel resources belongs to the original author, and the text is only available. Please delete it within 24 hours after downloading. Please support subscribing to genuine novels and refuse to piracy. This novel is made by Dragon. Philo Novel Group 920,138,438. Internal Group 1,142,529,731. More exciting Philo novels are in the hands of the owner. Welcome to the group. Like the witch in the country of ghosts, that is something that chakra can't explain, because first zero. Whether it is chakra, the sacred tree, or Kagaya, they are all outsiders. It's just that 1,000 years have passed, and the original heritage has disappeared, but chakra has remained what it should have been. Toad Pill explained again. Does it belong to the original heritage of this continent? Bajian nodded. Indeed, there is nothing to do with chakra at all about the witches of the ghost country and the drifting horses. But it still exists. Inheritance is severed, and now the world system has matured again, and chakra is the dominant one. This is the world of ninjas. Flying can use the Toad Pill as a cost to the ox spirits that exist on the earth. After being invaded, they began to calculate how to overthrow this foreign invasion, but it failed. The war in this world never ceases. So find yourself wanting an answer. Kagaya's method is wrong. I am not the same as her. You told me to calm the troubled people who were silent for a long while. Bajian shook. I should have seen something. Quote, I can't give you the answer. If you want to see it, keep on living. The only thing I can tell you is, in my eyes, this world is definitely not the nursery of the Ōtsutsuki clan. After speaking, Bajian did not continue to talk to Toad Pills. If it can really predict, then it has already seen the result. What's the point of saying more? Sage Mode Bajian has mastered successfully, there is no need to stay here. As for the last words, they came from the heart. Why is this earth used as a nursery by the Ōtsutsuki clan? Even if it's a nursery, it's mine. And the so-called ninja era is over. Sorry, when the shell tissue shows up, he will tell Kawaki with the knife in his hand that the ninja is still you. Dad, this answer. It's pretty good. After Bajian left, the Toad Pill in the hall nodded and finally closed his eyes. The moment the eyes closed, the last trace of anger in it disappeared. Prophecy requires the same price. What it paid was its last life, but this time it did not regret it. Thousands of years ago, its choice was wrong, which brought more disasters to the world. Now it prefers to believe the person in the prophecy. Maybe only such a person can truly change the land under his feet. Big Toad Sage is gone. At the exit of Mount Myoboku, Jiraiya, who was chasing over, said sadly. Okay, I know. Bajian, who is extremely sensitive to his soul, can naturally see that the Toad Pill was exhausted the moment he saw him. Do you want to get the answer by holding on to the last thought? Sighing, Bajian stroked his Zanpakuto. Go back and give you a new task. After a suffocation, He patted Jiraiya on the shoulder. Bajian thought for a while. Protect Konoha before I return to the village. I have something to deal with. Saying goodbye to Jiraiya, Bajian took off and rushed forward. He didn't land until he came to the entrance of a cave adjacent to the Land of Fire and the Land of Thunder. In the theater version, the Ōtsutsuki clan on the moon used this channel to explore things. Calculating Naruto's age, the current Ōtsutsuki Sharon should have been a cow, and civil unrest has exploded. So now in the past, as long as you kill Ōtsutsuki and his father, you can easily receive huge transfer cows. Eyes and everything on the moon. For those two neuroses, Bajian didn't have any thoughts of sympathy. The ninja created by Ōtsutsuki Hagoromo is indeed wrong, but even if it is corrected, outsiders will not be able to intervene. And the light from them will invade to the earth in the future, and even have thoughts about Hinata, it's already announced their fate. Boom. Kicking away the debris at the entrance of the passage, Bajian stepped in. The strange scene in the scene is brought to the eye. But for Bajian, who Reiatsu can already describe as pervert, the influence of that kind of illusion can be ignored. My father. On the moon, in the splendid palace, two figures are sitting together. There was silence around, only the puppets walked past the hall from time to time, tidying up and looking clean. Incomparable ground. A civil unrest broke out here. Only 2 people survived in the end. 2.7. They who think they are carrying their fate are waiting for this moment to come. The palace is very clean, but the bloody smell left by the killing of countless people has been with them. The soul is intertwined. That is a sin that cannot be washed away no matter how the ground is cleaned. Well, I feel it. He nodded to the nearby Sharon, and the Ōtsutsuki Sharon gently pressed the nearby mechanism. Just let the puppet go. The descendants of Sage of Six Paths cannot understand this power. He speaks very confidently, but in the next second, the Ōtsutsuki tree man instantly lost the existence of the Ōtsutsuki puppet. Died. How can it be? Picking up their children, the two rushed outside. The name of the mental illness of the branch house is really random. It seems to be called a Ōtsutsuki puppet. In the air, he shook his Zanpakuto, and Bajian was a little dull. This thing is controlled by Ōtsutsuki Arashi. I understand everything I understand. Lowering his head, 2 figures below appeared at Bajian's feet. A man who looks similar to the future Ōtsutsuki Sharon, he holds a child who was born blind in his arms. The last 2 of Hanamura's younger generation are undoubtedly. Outsider, I can't feel any breath of Sage of Six Paths from your body. Looking at Bajian cautiously, the Ōtsutsuki tree man spoke first. Father, are you despicable earthlings? Kill him soon. Ōtsutsuki's dark pupils looked towards Bajian. Despicable Earthman. Originally he planned to give these 2 people a good time, but suddenly he changed his attention. I heard that this kid can breed in a blink of an eye. Killed as a waste. Zanpakuto tried to lift it up, and the surrounding atmosphere suddenly stagnated. Your life is in my control. Crying. Hum. The light of the sword soared into the sky, and the black sword light that was comparable to the reincarnation of a golden wheel slashed from the top to the bottom. The surface of the moon began to tremble. The huge crack slowly opened. Seen from the sky, the entire moon was split into 2 in an instant, revealing a strange seal pattern and chakra. Leave your life. Please take your time to enjoy the title of Tensegan manufacturing machine. Squeezing Sharon's neck, Bajian tilted his head and knocked Zanpakuto and walked into the moon. There was a chakra with grief and pain in it, he had already sensed it. That is chakra belonging to Ōtsutsuki Kagaya. Big chapter. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 164. In the name of Ōtsutsuki Kagaya, he became his wedge. The power of the 3 templates converge, plus the power of Zanpakuto Shikai itself. With just one shot, the moon created by Six Paths planetary devastation, the ultimate sealing technique released by Ōtsutsuki Hagoromo, was completely divided into 2. But Bajian could see clearly that when he walked into the moon, the separated moon was slowly approaching the middle, and there was a faint feeling of gradual recovery. The self-recovery ability of the seal. Is it the power of Six Paths? Withdrawing his gaze, he defended Sharon's neck and continued on. It was pitch black all around. But Bajian can clearly perceive the weak chakra inside. Every time I move forward, I seem to be able to see the life of a poor woman struggling hard. Ōtsutsuki Kagaya. Thousands of years ago, they came to the earth together with Ōtsutsuki, but they almost killed the opponent because of a sneak attack on the inside bar. Although to this world, she is an outsider. But she has a lot of affection for this land, and even thought of fighting against Ōtsutsuki's family for the people on earth. After creating 2 children with chakra, in order to fight against future disasters, she launched Infinite Tsukuyomi in an attempt to create an army to guard the earth. She was on the wrong path after all. The silly white and sweet silly words are reasonable to put on her. The feeling of being sealed by my 2 sons will definitely not be too good. But one thing, Bajian didn't understand when he was anime. As the person of the Ōtsutsuki clan who came to the earth to be responsible for planting the sacred tree, her own strength is definitely not weak. And being able to seriously injure Ōtsutsuki and almost kill the opponent in one go, which is more proof of this. However, in the original book, Kagaya, who was released from the seal, was extremely clumsy. In addition to the powerful chakra and the blood succession snare, his fighting skills were also negligible. Obviously, this is a bit inconsistent. Even Bajian felt that if Madara did not launch infinite Tsukuyomi, relying on 2 Rinnegans and 1 Guyu Rinnegan would do more to defeat Sasuke and Naruto. In short, Otsutsuki's silly white sweet IQ is worrying. Shaking his head, Bajian moved on. He came here to learn more about the truth about the Otsutsuki clan, and by the way, meet the goddess of Ōtsutsuki. The closer you are to the inside of the moon, the more the power of the 6 paths on both sides will be suppressed, and the weaker energy inside the moon will become clearer. All the way forward, finally an invisible wall 04 in front of him blocked his way. This is the core of 6 paths planetary devastation, the final power that seals Kagaya's body. And that trace of Kagaya's soul fluctuation is within reach. 6 paths planetary devastation. Bajian looked calm and stepped over. At the same time, a dazzling and violent golden light appeared on his body. Substantiated Reiatsu defense. Enough to tear the 6 paths planetary devastation and the power of the core pouring out. And the barrier that was originally invisible to the naked eye was stained with a touch of gold, and Bajian squeezed a gap into it. This situation. People who are like tadpoles made their efforts to be the first to enter the arms of their mothers. The core of 6 paths planetary devastation is the mother's last defense. The gap shattered and Bajian's body melted in. In an instant, the scenery in front of you changed drastically. The colorful barriers of Madara, the tranquil atmosphere, and the pop of colors passing through the sky from time to time. It's very similar to the scene when Naruto saw Kushina Chakra in the spiritual world. But the difference is that it is not his mother who is waiting for Bajian inside. The barrier gradually recovered, and Bajian slowly raised his head. At the same time, the woman who was standing quietly also cast her eyes. With eyes facing each other, a flash of surprise flashed in the man's eyes. She, Fangwa Peerless. That is the beauty that is enough to conquer the desire in a man's heart. The skin surpassed the snow, and a long blue and white hair sprinkled smoothly behind him and dragged it to the ground. The 2 horns on the forehead don't have a sense of cleanliness on that delicate face. At this moment, her forehead does not have Rinnegan, the 6 paths planetary devastation is suppressing her power, except that the white pupils are filled with curiosity and doubts, and Yi Bajian's figure is reflected inside. That's the different Byakugan. Unlike the unified cataract of the Hyuga clan, according to Bajian's observation, the pupils of the Hyuga clan never carry this special light that can reflect the light of others. Belongs to her unique color. She belongs to the goddess of Mao who calmed the troubled times thousands of years ago and guarded the earth in accordance with the blueprint in her heart. Belongs to Ōtsutsuki Kagaya, the poor woman who was sealed by her child. The calm atmosphere was strange. Kagaya looked at Yi Bajian, and Bajian looked at her too. There is no depression. Some are intensely curious, and this curiosity makes Bajian leave behind his immobile Ōtsutsuki, who is oppressed by the power of 6 paths, and walk towards each other step by step. The footsteps stopped. Bajian stood in front of Kagaya. Reaching out, Bajian pinched her chin at the moment when those pure white pupils appeared in astonishment. Want to go out? Perhaps in Bajian's opinion, he has long been accustomed to this behavior of pinching a girl's chin, and he classified it as a normal behavior. But Ōtsutsuki Kagaya is obviously very uncomfortable with this behavior. Goddess of Mao, ancestor of chakra. She has many auras above her body, but she is the only one who has not been molested. Ōtsutsuki Hagoromo and Ōtsutsuki Hamura are just children created by their own chakra, which is admired by the people. She treats the 2 as her real children. When I saw Sasuke and Naruto, only my mother would understand the feeling of tears flowing involuntarily. But Kagaya, who was originally extremely angry, was completely stunned when he heard the 4 words the man said. Want to go out? Of course she wants. She had watched the mysterious light and shadow all around her for a long time. Even if the color pops that I swiped from time to time on that day and a few of them were swiped, she was already backside down. This is 1,000 years of loneliness. The loneliness that no one can understand. Who are you? Slightly breaking free of Bajian's hand, Kagaya took a step back. Being able to break through the defense of 6 paths planetary devastation to come here is enough to show the opponent's strength. Kagaya is stupid and sweet, but not stupid enough to see such a person directly launch an attack. And now she doesn't have that kind of power either. With the seal of thousands of years, her power has already dissipated into 9, and under the torture of 6 paths planetary devastation, she has reached the point where the oil is exhausted. What can she do in this state? My name, Yi Bajian. At the moment the earth is dry. Bullying forward, Kagaya takes a step back, and he moves forward. The earth's. Kagaya was stunned. It seems that I heard myself from 1,000 years ago. Answer me, woman. Squeezing her chin again, Bajian's voice is low. Originally he planned to ask some questions here, but when he came along this way, he seemed to see the inner world of some people. Mercy. Probably. I just want to take her to see how the world of her master is different. Thinking or not wanting. Leave here. Keigaya's confused eyes gradually returned to a hint of color. For the first time she was so close to the man, a touch of pink appeared on her pale face, and then she nodded gently. Follow me. Leaning his head, Bajian released the opponent and turned around to lift the half-dead Ōtsutsuki Sharon, and then pulled out Zanpaku. At the same time, a black-red light appeared on the boy's face, and a virtual mask appeared instantly. With this, the strength continued to rise, and the breath of Bajian holding the knife became extremely terrifying, and his change has not completely ended. Suddenly, eyes appeared from two hideous corners on his forehead. The power of the imaginary and the power of Shinigami are completely integrated. Destroy the space. God cry, the fear of the sword flashes. With a low groan, Bajian's knife snapped out from top to bottom. The space shattered in just a moment. The core of Six Paths planetary devastation was completely turned into ashes under this knife. What a power this is. The Uchiha has never seen. Keigaia was stunned. After that piece of colorful world shattered, only a piece of pitch black remained around. Even forgot to leave. Go, woman. Take the knife and grab the opponent's hand. The imaginary mask on Bajian's face in the bull's head running away slowly disappeared, but the bullhorns on his forehead still existed. Bajian took it in a daze. Keigaia's gaze stayed on the corner of the man's head. So big, so beautiful, so majestic. The Ōtsutsuki clan has horns. The thicker and more handsome horns are, the easier it is to attract the attention of females. But it's not that bigger is stronger. With the cut just now, what Keigaia felt was a powerful force different from chakra. Destroy the core of Six Paths planetary devastation. What a power this is. Of course, perhaps Kei Yoruichi will never know the principle of Six Paths planetary devastation in his life. But Itachi can see thoroughly, the more this kind of thing, as long as the inner core is destroyed, the more fragile. It is foreseeable that starting today, there will be no full moon in the ninja world. The waning moon will become the last scenery. The crippled power of Six Paths planetary devastation will slowly recover, but the cut off the surface of the moon has turned into an abyss like the Grand Canyon. But these have nothing to do with Bajian. As long as he wants to, it will not be difficult to create two moons for the ninja world in the future. The moon here in Beijing is different from the moon in the previous life. It is different in size, principle, and stars in space. Pulling Wei Yoruichi to gallop. Eventually rushed out of the dark environment and landed on the ground. Keigaia was still sluggish, staring at Bajian's head. But at the moment of coming out, Bai's power has returned to the body, and the horns have disappeared together. Throwing Sharon on the ground, pulling Keigaia, the two came to a mountain top. The earth in the distance looks exceptionally beautiful. Think about it, whether it's a previous life or after a journey, this kind of angle of looking at the earth from the sky is the first time I have enjoyed it. But the same is, no matter it is in the past and present, the blue planet is exceptionally beautiful. There is human civilization bred there, and now, that piece of ninja world belongs to Bajian. Because he will eventually be crowned king. The earth was far away, and Keigaia's gaze finally shifted from the top of Bajian's head. Chi blue light reflected in her pupils. This is the nursery of Ai's family. The woman's voice came slowly, causing Bajian to turn over Byakugan. Snapped. Bajian said calmly while resting his chin again. Keigaia turned her head in astonishment, and the feeling of being slapped on her face made her tremble. Dissatisfied. Nursery. Sorry, he couldn't control what happened before. But in the future, that belongs to his ninja world. As yours. Keigaia nodded hard. The title of the ancestor of the goddess Chakra no longer belongs to her. In front of the man who brought her out of the seal of Six Paths planetary devastation, she was not qualified to refute. You said you figured it out, I did it. However, this is conditional. Holding Keigaia's cheek lightly, Bajian said again. Conditions. With blurred eyes, Keigaia nodded. It should be. That's it. I want to know everything about the Ōtsutsuki family, from the Ōtsutsuki family, to the Ōtsutsuki clan and Ōtsutsuki branch house, everything about them. There is also the Ōtsutsuki 273 style that came to Earth with you, and where is the second 10 tails? I will kill them. Quote. After speaking slowly, Bajian glanced at Keigaia with a slightly surprised look. She probably didn't expect it. About everything you know. You have to resist Ōtsutsuki. Admire the courage of a human being. However, if it were him, he should really be able to do it, right? For some reason, when Yi Bajian said that he was going to kill those people, Keigaia, as the Ōtsutsuki clan, had some peace of mind, the sense of security that came suddenly, but she was full of expectations. Once upon a time, she also wanted to protect the earth and worked hard to resist the invasion of those people. But in the end she failed and lost to her son. It was a painful memory. But now someone wants to do the same thing, she is very curious about what the other person is doing. Do you launch infinite Tsukuyomi like yourself? Still another way. I really want to. Look at the changes in the nursery. Resistance. They are not worthy of these two words, just let them know how much it will cost to worry about Dad's 1 acre of land. With a squeeze, Bajian stood up and his eyes fell on the distant gully. It was cut through by myself. The journey to the moon is quite complete, the only pity is. Looking up at the Hamura shrine in the distance, Bajian frowned and walked over. In the theater version of the original book, the huge golden Tensagen of Hamura shrine was destroyed by Hinata and Naruto. That is a powerful energy body composed of countless Byakugans. Propelling the moon is only one of the capabilities. Its power is much more than this. Just after Bajian arrived on the moon, he felt huge energy fluctuations. Keep going. The blood of the Ōtsutsuki clan is sold in the system mall, but Bajian doesn't think he needs that stuff, and he doesn't have enough points, so now I can only take a look at this thing. Shaking his head, Bajian said. When Kagaya's body was attached to his back, a unique power appeared in his body. Finally, the huge golden light shone on Bajian's body. Book of Shadow Ninja Formation. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. I don't have the blood of the Ōtsutsuki clan, so I can't absorb it. I will be his wedge. Peas, the explanation that Kagaya's child is a cow born by the people's admiration is not made out of thin air. Kagaya's chakra. In the name of Ōtsutsuki. This is Golden Wheel Tensagen. I can help you. What shocked him even more? Following Bajian, as if seeing the longing in the man's eyes, Kagaya suddenly said. Do you want to? But to Bajian's surprise, Kagaya walked behind him step by step. Chapter 165 Connected Souls, Split Moon. Wedge, a concept that appeared in the sequel in the later period of Naruto. Originated from the special abilities of the Ōtsutsuki clan. After the user enters the imprinting of the curse, peculiar patterns will appear on the body, and their own abilities will be greatly improved. It can be changed to different colors according to different attributes of users. In the biography of Bo Ren, only Sixian, Chuan Mu and Bo Ren own. Belongs to the bells and whistles. But the power is really good. Kagaya leaned behind, not knowing how powerful her high standard headlights are to men. She used her back pushing posture to dedicate all her chakra to Yi Bajian. Unilateral contribution, rather than the kind of peach-like a blogger, has become a way of existence for the communist body to prepare for rebirth. This is a wedge like no other. Only the purest Ōtsutsuki can use the sacrifice. From now on, she will belong to Yi Bajian. Something fits together, spells seals, and uses the ability of wedge. It's okay to summon the other party out of an alternative, fit, know each other's depths, and look for the joy of rushing to the sky. Of course, these are not important to Bajian now. The sound of the system in his mind was what surprised him now. Ding. Host, check that Ōtsutsuki Kagaya wants to contribute. Chakra becomes your wedge. This wedge is a little bit different from the wedge in the concept. It will not affect any of host's own power, nor will it be influenced by Kagaya's consciousness. This wedge is a unilateral supply type auxiliary state, please host master choose whether to accept it. After accepting, you will have the pure blood of Ōtsutsuki like Ōtsutsuki Teru Yoruichi. With sufficient energy, special abilities will be activated. The chakra of Ōtsutsuki Kagaya will be attached to your body to provide you with energy at any time. This is a curse seal. Wa State 1. You can also summon Kagaya to appear at any time and do things you want to do, such as finding a relative for Sage of Six Paths. Of course, this system probably understands the concept of this relative based on the idea of host-host, and it is most likely that you are yourself. Turn on the wedge to enter the second state of the spell. You will use the power of the wedge to increase your strength in all directions, and the level of strength will increase according to the increase of Kagaya's power. Please don't worry, Master Host. Kagaya's wedge this time is more like relying on your powerful way of survival, instead of using you as a tool for future resurrection. In terms of your Reiatsu level, she can't do that either. While becoming your wedge, you can choose to eat Ōtsutsuki Kagaya's chakra with your own body, or you can choose to get out of this state perfectly. After a short pause, the system explains again. If you choose to refuse, you will lose the chance to get the wedge and explode. The explanation to this level is already easy to understand. Ōtsutsuki Kagaya once did the same thing as Bajian, but she did it wrong and the world did not develop as she hoped. There was a slight change in her mentality, and she decided to look at the world with her own eyes. It is no longer the world of her nursery. Her strength has not yet recovered, and she can only be described as weak. To be the wedge of this powerful man is the only choice. And there is another reason for this mentality. That is what this man said, he will fight against the Ōtsutsuki clan in the future. Ōtsutsuki is silly and Bashan doesn't understand, and doesn't go deep into the truth that the enemy's enemy is a friend, she only knows that this man is outrageous. Become his wedge, if the man in front of him can't defeat those few people, what can he do? Kagaya did look away. When being pulled away from the moon by this man, she found that what she seemed to lack was a support. She still doesn't know whether this man is worth relying on. While observing, he becomes the strength of the other party. Look at the nursery with your eyes. Whatever the purpose, she did it. Except, this is a pros and cons, and Bajian has no reason to refuse. The estrangement disappeared completely. Kagaya's remaining power enters Bajian's body, faintly integrating with Bajian with his gradually transparent body. But at the last moment, Kagaya's eyes were wide open. What it is? In the heart of this man, there was a beast that suppressed all her power. Before Shu, she might have other thoughts about Yi Bajian's body. At this moment, that last thought has disappeared. Whether it's spiritual power or soul, it's definitely not a tool that you can covet. Do you dance with wolves? Can't resist. From now on, the concubine body is his. Giving up the last struggle, Keigaya's body is completely transparent and hidden in Bajian's body. At the same time, a strange woman appeared in the spiritual world, looking at Chi outside with Bajian's eyes. Of course, Bajian can close these screens at any time. Keigaya can also be summoned at any time. This is the perfect wedge. With strength surging, a light blue pattern stretched from Bajian's arm to his pupil. He opened his eyes suddenly, and a white pupil similar to Teru Yoruichi appeared in his left eye. Byakugan. Different from the Hyuga clan. Under Bajian's physical fitness and special chakra, he doesn't even need to stimulate the meridians around the eyes, Byakugan can open naturally. In addition, the weird pattern once again extends and wraps around Bajian's Zanpakuto. There is no doubt that his leveling power has increased again. Is this the power of the wedge? It's just that. Frowning, Bajian seemed disappointed. It's not that he pretended to use Madara's tone to tease after learning Sage Mode. It's really weak. Too weak. The increase that can even bring him is completely different from what he imagined. Yes. Because the body was sealed. Keigaya's voice appeared in his mind, and his tone seemed to be quite frightened. Really, it was the first time for her to see the oppression that could swallow her soul at any time. Now this man only needs a little thought, and there will be no more bones left for her to be eaten. Real death. Seal it. Bajian nodded. This is indeed the case. Even before being sealed by Ōtsutsuki Hagoromo and Ōtsutsuki Hamura, Keigaya was not completely examined. Ancestor of Carrot. This can be concluded from the fact that Sage of Six Paths can separate nine-tailed beasts from the body. Use chakra to create two children. Sage of Six Paths alone is the sum of the nine-tailed beasts. One can imagine how terrifying Keigaya's original chakra would be. After all, no one can think of what 10 tails really looks like, it's just a Ōtsutsuki silly white and sweet. Need to activate infinite Tsukuyomi to recover. After thinking about it, Bajian asked curiously. To be honest, if it is too weak, it really doesn't matter to him. Sexual increase. Infinite Tsukuyomi is just one way, and it does not require everyone to contribute all chakra. Become white Zetsu. 1 point is enough. Keigaya was a little nervous, and the huge energy body in front of you, imprinted by our curse. The way to absorb, although the ultimate strengthening is your body. Quote. But the concubine body is a channel to attract this kind of power, and it will also help the concubine body to regain some strength. Compare yourself to a channel. Bajian was speechless. The adjectives of the Ōtsutsuki family are very heartwarming. Wedges, tools or something, it's ridiculous to think about it. However, it still matters. Clearly need to be connected with the soul and spirit of the concubine body. The prerequisites for absorbing the golden wheel Tenseigan are already in place, but what are the steps? Bajian is not yet. In the spiritual space, Bajian's figure appears. Seeing Keigaya's flushed face, he seemed to understand what to do. Take it off. Pointing to Keigaya's clothes, Bajian said calmly. Keigaya, didn't you say that they are connected? Yes, they are all spiritual bodies. Be generous. Naturally, the man looked at Keigaya who had come over and realized that someone had misunderstood. Eyes gradually shifted. A little horrified, she took 2 steps back. Although she is now meeting in a spiritual state, this excessive behavior makes her fair. Flushed completely. Well, my concubine, I haven't finished talking yet. When Ōtsutsuki's robes dissipated, Keigaya finally suffocated the second half of the sentence. Actually, just hold hands. Feel sorry. She has no chance. It's just the connection between the soul and the spiritual body, not the connection between the real body, so Bajian didn't. Going on. There are only 2 of them on the moon at this moment. Ōtsutsuki Sharon has been used by Bajian as a tool, using special scrolls exchanged from the system store. Sealed up. The real 2-person starry sky world. Feeling the mystery, Bajian's hand wrapped in weird lines reached out to the golden wheel Tenseigan. This is originally the strength of the same clan, and there will be no rejection. Keigaya was amazed by the strength of Bajian's body. Same clan, strong body, Byakugan. The prerequisites are fully satisfied, and the absorption of power begins. The sword eye is like sinking into a warm ocean, only 8 of the special feelings brought by the connection of the soul have just been touched. With surprise, the golden wheel Tenseigan is essentially the Byakugan of countless Ōtsutsuki gathered together. That one eye is also their most precious thing. In other words, that is their soul. So when it was absorbed, Bajian found that its knife also gave off a strange light. The second flat cutting feature, Soul Eater, is in Qin Shao. Bajian's Zanpakuto is absorbing the soul power from above to consolidate his soul harvest and sword. Under the revenant effect, this kind of extra benefit was something he hadn't thought of. The effect of Soul Eater's soul under the knife is extremely powerful, especially on the day Bajian completes Shikai, the attack. Harvested more than 3,000 souls. The knife went down, as if 3,000 dead souls rushed towards the opponent and roared. The effect could only be horror. To describe, the flat slash is still the flat slash, but besides physical killing and soul killing, it is so powerful. Deterrence. This feature is very strong. But Bajian can't kill all the people in the ninja world to harvest souls, otherwise he and Kagaya will be sisters. It's different. After the unification arrives, only the rebels can turn into his dead soul under the sword, in the world of Naruto. The growth effect of the dead soul under the knife seems to have seen the upper limit. But the number of dead souls in the golden wheel in the blink of an eye made Bajian's flat cutting effect once again improved. For this alone, it's worthwhile to use Kagaya as your own wedge. Not bad. In the spiritual space, Bajian, who is connected to Kagaya's soul, gives out a satisfied smile. And Kagaya was completely lying in his arms. Open up. Similarly, the Ōtsutsuki clan has a special obsession with horns. Sure enough, when the Horn of Hollow appeared, the woman strengthened the connected soul. Seping found a very strange point. Knowledge increased. The energy of the golden wheel turning the bull's eye is not small. A collection of all the things of Ōtsutsuki Byakugan on the moon, the power of which is unimaginable. So even if Bajian has the attributes of the same clan as Hamura, the rate of absorption is not fast. But this kind of energy absorbing day is not boring. To feel the transformation with body and soul, this process is all about enjoyment. What's more, there are connected souls in the spiritual space. The perfect wedge is growing, and Bajian, who has been turning on the curse, can feel it, his eyes are. After completing the transformation of the earth, the world of ninja. Inside Konoha village. According to observations over the past few days, there is no tendency for the moon to hit the earth. Apart from the bizarre sight of the split in two that day, nothing else has happened. In the Naruto office, Nara Shikahisa came to Minato with the results of the Konoha observation department. Good for Zhao Qian, the moon has cracked. This kind of thing is enough to cause a sensation. But why it cracked and how it cracked, no one knows. After all, before the accident, no one knew that the source was the moon, and no one was too busy to panic Tenten to watch the moon. In other words, there is no threat to the earth, right? Minato nodded and finally breathed a sigh of relief. When the moon split, they thought that the moon would crash into the earth. Now they think about it. The moon is still that moon, it's just that a strange sight appeared for some reason. The only thing worthy of doubt is who is responsible for all this. People in the ninja world are wondering. But the most suspicious person was the strange liquid. Ōtsutsuki Black Zetsu, Kagaya's third son. On a quiet night, on the hillside outside Tanokuni's Otoyan village, Black Zetsu stared at the glowing waning moon and opened his mouth. The moon is split. Others don't know what it means, but he knows. The moon is nothing more than the sealed scene brought by Six Paths planetary devastation, and those who are sealed are just. It's his mother, Ōtsutsuki Kagaya. But now the moon has split and split into two. What's wrong with your mother? Black Zetsu's eyes were lost, and he looked at Otoyuki village in the distance and sighed. The plan is beyond control. Claim, Orochimaru has the same purpose as them. Destroy Konaha, destroy the man. But the technique used on Nagato. Shaking his head, let Orochimaru toss. It's really impossible, I can only resurrect Madara in advance and launch infinite Tsukuyomi. Continue to look up at the moon gang. Maybe Black Zetsu didn't know it all his life. At this moment, it's not just the moon that splits. Also cracked is his mother. Ōtsutsuki Kagaya, King's Woman. Ps. 2 chapters in 1. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 166 He is back. Boom. What the hell is Konoha going to do? What are they going to do? Cloud Shinobi Village. Inside Raikage's office, there was a huge and belonging roar. The only one arm that was left smashed directly on the desk, and the poor desk was shattered. Azabuye beside him watched this scene calmly. This is to be expected. As Raikage's secretary, she knows too well the temper of her leader. It's not easy to be able to endure hard. Quietly tidying up the papers on the ground, Mabuye sighed. To tell the truth, this time Master Nidian can't get angry. Konoha is really pressing. Looking out the window, Azabuye has a headache. From the news from the ninja world from time to time in recent years, it can be seen that Konoha's big moves will affect the whole situation. Master Raikage, I won't say anything else until you calm down. I just want to tell you one thing. Just before you lose your temper, please look at your hands. After sighing, Mabuye reminded. Look at my hand. Inside the empty sleeves, only half of the arm is left. Raikage's old face turned black and returned to the chair. This is a lesson from the blood. What if it's upset? Leaning on the chair decadently, Nidying sighed. Are you finally calm? Azabuye breathed a sigh of relief. And Raikage-sama, we didn't bother to blame Konoha for this matter. Can only suffer from dumb losses. He glanced at the file in his hand, and Mabuye gave a wry smile. The thing is like this. In recent years, although the ninja world has remained calm, the 5 major ninja villages seem to be recovering their cattle machines. But the secret action is not small. There were originally rumors that many small shinobu villages and countries had secretly sought refuge in Konoha. But rumors are rumors after all, and there has never been such a precedent before, so no one takes it seriously. It's just now that several small countries around the country of need have also reported that they will accept Konoha's organization and transformation from today, and recognize Konoha as his father. This moment completely touched the interests of the country in need. In addition to some of the resources and tasks in the country, the source of the experience of big countries and Darren Village is the peace expenses paid by those small countries each year. Small countries colluded with big countries, praying for big countries to bypass their own country and ninja village when they are at war with big countries. This kind of thing is a rule in the ninja world many years ago. This kind of rules also exist in the Fire Nation, but before that, they were directly handed over to the Fire Nation daimyo, but now Konoha directly shot it. Even those small countries have become Konoha's affiliates. What are they going to do? This behavior has seriously threatened the interests of 500 other countries. A few days ago, Raikage sent ninja troops to accept the peace expenses paid by the small countries around the country of Thunder, but today, it turned out to be the ninja wounded of the Cloud Shinobi village ninja who were sent back, and every wounded was interrupted. What is even more irritating is that he was told that he would kill him if he dared to commit a crime in the future. This insult made the entire Cloud Shinobi village angry. Provocation. Naked provocation. Even at that moment, Xinjiang wanted to bring people to annihilate that country. But in the end, he still held back. There is no other way but to lose your temper in the office. Just as Mabui said, this time they were unreasonable and had no right to lose their temper. Make an analogy. A small country prays for peace and does not want the war to spread to its own country. But this money, who they want to give to, who want to get asylum, is their own freedom. The father of the country of need is no longer good, so it is extremely reasonable for them to find Konoha, a powerful father, and get the protection of new father. So, Cloud Shinobi Village, there are no measures that can be taken. Attacking that small country is equivalent to attacking Konoha. When the kid Konoha gets angry, if he really kills Cloud Shinobi Village, what will they use? After so many years, how far has the strength of that kid been improved? Actually, Master Raikage doesn't have to worry about it. But Ma Buyi, who was standing in front of the table, suddenly smiled. Konoha did this, and there were only two results. First, all the small ninja villages in small countries yielded and became Konoha's dogs. Then Konoha developed rapidly by relying on this huge resource, until one day the remaining 4 big ninja villages could not resist the pressure, and became Konoha. Yi's dog, Yi Bajian will succeed at that point. Because he corrected all the messy order and completed the great unification, then he will stay his name through the ages and become the hero of the entire ninja world. Asabu Yi is very smart, and even thought of what they are going to do from Konoha's actions. However, there is no problem at all in her analysis. These are Yi Bajian and Konoha's final plans. But, the same thing. But as soon as the conversation turned, Ma Buyi suddenly showed a bright smile. His actions will make other great nations in the ninja world angry, just like you are now. The reason why a big country is because it has a strong combat capability that other small countries do not have. If one day the 4 ninja villages can no longer bear Konoha's dictatorship, war will follow. AEEB. His expression gradually became serious, and Azabu Yi pointed to the area of the country of fire on the map. Compared with the end of the Third Ninja War a few years ago, Konoha's territory has been expanded by a third. With that hideous appearance, Zipping wanted the entire ninja world to enter his pocket. But I have too much appetite, and I am also addicted to it in the end. As his eyes lighted up, Azabui's voice became low. Did you forget? This happened when first Hokage Senju Hashirama ruled Konoha. Don't say whether Yi Bajian's fighting power is as powerful as Senju Hashirama once did. Even if he has, Konoha can move in the direction I said when he is alive. But Senju Hashirama is much more approachable than Yi Bajian, and even took the initiative to buy the tail beast. After thinking about it, Mabuyi even wanted to laugh. Buy your things, and then use the thing to kill your people. His Senju Hashirama really doesn't think about the next issue. So, if one day, wait for him to die. Quote. The anger of the 4 ninja villages towards Konoha has accumulated to a certain extent, and the highest combat power is already dead. Waiting for him to die. Raikage suddenly realized, as if he was awakened. Yes, even a man known as the god of ninjas will eventually die, not to mention that kid. A kid without any blood. Yi Bajian can rule for decades at most, without the powerful lives of the Uzumaki and Senju clan. Power. Why do you want to do something that first Hokage can't do in a limited life? Of course, first Hokage doesn't have the intention to unify the ninja world. It's a pity that Uchiha Madara has a lot of ideas about unification. What Yukage himself doesn't understand is that according to Cloud Shinobi Village's inheritance information, first Hokage even feels dangerous about Uchiha Madara's ideas, and the different concepts make Madara annihilate Konoha's mind. It's all there. Then they had a fight. 2 peak combat powers killed and wounded. What a stupid approach. Their battles can create a canyon. It's weird that other Shinobu villages can stop this kind of combat power. You are right, he will always die. Like Senju Hashirama. Reikage nodded in agreement. So, we ignore Yi Bajian, who is very powerful, and put the target under Konoha. Generation, or in the next generation. Quote. Asabu Yi continued, I have a proposal for this. Within a year, the two geniuses in Konoha's rumor, the son of Namikaze Minato and the Uchiha clan. The eldest second son will graduate from ninja school. And at that time, it was Konoha's turn to hold the Chunin exam. Then they would invite. Lei Zhiguo participated together. We took the opportunity to record the combat effectiveness of the two Tenten talents. In my opinion, most of their geniuses will not surpass Yi Bajian. As long as they are not superior, our Thunder Country will be after the man's death. There is a chance to stand up. Quote. The analysis is completed in one step. Azabu Yi sighed for a sigh of relief. She did not close her eyes and studied it all day and night after learning that Konoha controlled the small country. Countermeasures. For the temporary stage, I can only endure it. Waiting for your peak combat power to be taken away by time, and the war will break out. It's not just Cloud Shinobi Village who is unhappy with Konoha. At that time, even if Konoha can persist under the attack of the four ninja villages, he will probably become the third. It was as weak as the Ninja World War tacit understanding. Balance will come. The strategy is good, but I'm sorry. Although I can't believe it, Jianzhang never lied to me. Jianzhang said, he won't die. So, your strategy won't have any effect, whispering there. Quote. Above the Cloud Shinobi Village Reikage building, a figure stands. A head taller than when Bajian left. In a few years, he has become more mature. The Majesty brushed his cheeks, and Ferret's face was remembered by the wind. It's not a coincidence. The country of Lin on the border of the country is one of the places he is responsible for. He also fought those who went to Linjiguo yesterday. In order to prevent Cloud Shinobi Village from retaliation, he followed all the way and wanted to see Reikage. Reaction. The grumpy Reikage didn't let him down after all, but got angry. But the existence of Secretary Reikage suppressed his anger. He even proposed a strategy of waiting until the time was right in the future to join other shinobu villages to attack Konoha. One last glance at Asabui, the special pattern in Itachi's pupils flashed away, and then turned to black. The crow disappeared in place. I'm finally back. Outside a certain ruined cave in the land of fire, two figures held hands and fell on the spot. One of them has black hair and shawl, black knives and wine gourds on his waist are eye-catching. The other person's skin shungshe, with white pupils curiously observing everything around him. Yi Bajian and Ōtsutsuki Kagaya. Bajian has forgotten how long it took, but it must not be short. But not long ago, he finally absorbed all the energy of the huge Tenseigan. It's not just absorbing the energy to complete the task, but turning those violent energies completely into the master and turning them into their own power to complete the transformation. How was Ōtsutsuki Yaren defeated by Naruto? It's not that his ability is not strong in a blink of an eye, but that he has just finished moving his fetus, and the research on Tenseigan is still on the surface. An explosive super tornado. There is also a special Tenseigan chakra mode, the green one is scary. Especially the truth-seeking ball behind Tenseigan chakra mode is enough to show that Tenseigan is turned on and has already reached the 6 paths level with 1 foot. Of course, the reason why it took so long is that there are other things being done. For example, go to several spaces in Kagaya to find something. I wasted some time, but it's not too late. With Bajian's current power, no one can limit him. The blue light in the pupils flickered, and the star-like eyes turned to Kagaya next to him. This is Tenseigan. After a long time of tacit understanding, Kagaya understood what the man next to him wanted to do, walked behind Bajian and slowly pasted it, turning it into a wedge. Husband Kun-sama, please take your concubine to enjoy your world. In my mind, Kagaya's voice was soft and watery. After being completely conquered physically and mentally, she has pinned all her hopes on this man. For the first time, before facing those of the Ōtsutsuki clan in the future, she never panicked anymore. This is probably a feeling of dependence. After absorbing the Golden Wheel Tenseigan, her strength has also recovered a lot. Maybe her fate is already destined, since she was caught by the little hand and left the moon core, it has been destined to become his power. Call. He grabbed the wine gourd and took a suffocated bite, Bajian's long hair moved with the wind. Almost. Whoosh. The figure disappeared in place and appeared in the sky the next moment. Konaha. I am back. If I die, I must be chatting to death. Konaha village. One net. Outside a certain Tankwan. The old white-haired man squatted weakly, holding a pen and paper in his hand, but he had no ideas in his mind at all, and he couldn't write ideal electric things at all. A figure fell beside him. Lord Jiraiya, the quality of your recent work has been seriously degraded. And tossing is always a gesture, it doesn't make sense to look at it. The same white hair, but this man is obviously more individual. It is obviously a hot day, so he has to wear a face mask and forehead protector also rests to block one eye. Hitaki Kakashi. Recently he has become more lazy. Anbu is becoming more and more elite, and the Night Owl team will only perform some difficult tasks, such as controlling the intelligence of those small countries and small ninja villages. But Konoha needs time to digest, so the progress is not too fast. So naturally, he has a lot of rest time to see and love heaven. Pity. This quality is too bad. He can't even mobilize his emotions, and the hand punch before falling asleep at night needs a version of a long time ago to be carried out. Jiraiya said distressedly, "You also know Konoha's rules. Don't say I went to collect the materials. You have to be monitored if you are close to the bathhouse and want to take a normal bath." Kakashi didn't urge the other party either. The writer, cabin is normal, and I feel a sense of anticipation when I see it after my thoughts are clear. He finally came back. It's been 5 years. Boss. Who is its boss? Peas. Today's chapters are all 2 in 1, so the number of words is the same as before. I can't help it. Whoosh. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. The latest issue of Intimacy Paradise is waiting for the kid to come back. I'll go out and find some inspiration to write. If this continues, his function is afraid that there will be obstacles. Shaking his head, Jiraiya sighed again. It threw a word out in the air and ran towards the Konoha village entrance, as fast as Namikaze Minato. The boss is back. That's really no way. After scratching his head, Jiraiya was stunned, and looked at each other with Kakashi. The figure disappeared instantly. Naruto is always called by pervy sage one by one. I'm afraid the villagers will remember this nickname. And just when the two were melancholy, a crimson figure fluttered out in the air, and it turned out to be Kurama. Chapter 167. This breath is the King Sage of 6 Paths. Konoha Village. After several years of development, the appearance of a huge Konoha is no longer what it used to be. The entrance is also more lively, vendors and tourists coming and going all want to see the tolerance and scenery of First Ninja Village. When everyone was checked and entered the village, 2 red figures rushed out of the village. Look carefully, although they are all orange-red, there are some differences. A crimson, a light red. It is as dazzling as 2 flames. That is, Master Nine Tails, the only one who can stray around in Konoha Village so unscrupulously as everyone's common village pet llama. But don't look at it, seems to be very dangerous. In fact, the skills in this area of Biaoche have long been masters purely incomparable. Even in a crowded street, Master Nine Tails won't bump into people. In the eyes of many people, this is also a kind of tempering of Nine Tails adults. Looking along the place where the 2 flames rushed out, people found that today's Master Nine Tails seemed a little different, especially anxious. Slowly, people raised their heads. A figure at the entrance of the village was walking from a distance. With long flowing black hair reaching his waist, he seemed to have forgotten to take care of his hairstyle after being on the moon for so long, but he was still so free and easy. That kind of self-confidence overflowing from the bones is particularly attractive. I haven't seen him for a few years, his body has grown a lot taller, and his upright posture no longer has the sense of contradiction that he used to carry a long knife and a wine gourd. But the immature face faded away, and the scars had completely disappeared due to the changes in physique. Only the slight curvature of the mouth and the deep eyes attract people's attention. The previous black martial arts uniform had become inappropriate because of his growth. Now he is wearing a Death Tyrant uniform in exchange for points from the system mall. It belongs to the Shinigami world, but it has a Bajian style more than the Death Tyrant clothes made by Shudara Senju Maru in the Shinigami world. The most important thing is that this suit can be restored automatically, and Bajian doesn't have to worry about the trouble of changing clothes after the battle. Konoha finally had the feeling of going home. I grabbed the wine gourd and was about to take a big mouthful, and the 2 flames in front rushed over with a swish. This is, boom, boom. When the 2 flames hit Bajian's arms, he smiled gently. The only thing that shocked people was that the impact of the 2 flames did not make this man retreat half a point. On the contrary, all the ground behind him was cracked. What a terrifying impact. Who is this man? Another 5 years have passed, and the young boy has completed the transformation that a man should have. With his mature temperament and appearance, fewer people know him. More, Konoha Kenpachi's name is deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. Without paying attention to the surprised people, Bajian lowered his head and looked over. There is always a special feeling between beasts and beasts. Kurama is probably the first person among Konoha to find himself back. Since it is going home, there is no need to hide your breath. Speaking of it, this is the first time he has left Konoha for so long. Although it didn't appear in the eyes of the villagers much before, fortunately, it was doing various things in the village. People get along for a long time, it will form a unique bond emotion in the world of Naruto. This kind of fetters urged them to grow. Hey, the uncle came first, can't you wait to get into the boss's arms? Shameless. Fart, where did you come from without my uncle? Besides, why did you squeeze together? The only thing that surprised Bajian was that Kurama became 2. No, or it is to separate the yin attribute chakra from the yang attribute chakra, forming 2 Kuramas. The same roundness, the same bloated and simple. It seems that what I left for teacher Minato finally came in handy. For a few years, it is not so simple to get the approval of Nine Tails. Bajian can also feel it when he is holding 2 Kuramas. It's not the kind of tail beast in the seal. It's a cooperative model that is close to that of a partner. Use the tail beast charger exchanged in the system store to connect to itself. In this way, you can achieve the effect of Jinchuriki without being bound by the so-called Jinchuriki. You can choose to enter the bodies of Minato and Naruto, or you can move around in this way. 2 Nine Tails, one became Minato's helper, the other became Naruto's eldest brother. As Bajian expected, they get along well. Continue to give Minato and Naruto time, the real Konoha golden glitter will appear in front of everyone. But the relationship is definitely not the relationship between Jinchuriki and the tail beast. More like friends, true companions. Speaking of the boss, why do you have the breath of the old Six Paths man in your body? That's right, at the beginning, my uncle was dumbfounded. If it weren't for the special violent aura in your body, my uncle would have thought he had admitted the wrong person. One left and one right. 2 Kuramas jumped onto Bajian's 2 shoulders. Xiaohei Nine Tails smelled suspiciously and then uttered his doubts. The current leeway has changed drastically from before, at least they know a concept. That is, human beings divide good people and bad people. Most people in Konoha village are good people. And the way to distinguish good people from bad people is very simple. See it, shout respectfully, Master Nine Tails, that's a pure good person. The best of good people is Yi Bajian in front of him. The first man to recognize its existence. Maybe it didn't think how important this man is to the tail beast before, but it hasn't been seen for a few years, and the feeling of longing made it understand that the existence of this man in front of him is definitely not the role of walking around every day. This feeling is closer than the sage of 6 paths that created it. Ōtsutsuki Hagoromo just created the tail beast and let the tail beast find a way to live with humans. And the man in front of him lit a bright lamp on the dark road. But there is indeed an aura that is very close to Sage of 6 Paths. What happened? Breath. Bajian touched his chin with a playful smile. Sorry, the breath of Ōtsutsuki Hagoromo doesn't match me. My taste is F***king. My smell is the F***k. How does the boss scold someone? The 2 Nine Tails looked at each other with confusion, indicating that they did not understand. I'm grateful if I can understand it. In mental space, Kagaya blushed and lowered his head. Ōtsutsuki Hagoromo and Ōtsutsuki Hamura were created by her combination of her own chakra and the beliefs of the people. As a result, she lost a lot of strength and really paid a lot for the 2 children. It's a pity that the final result is a bit sad. Chakra can create everything. This is a peculiar energy. Sage of 6 Paths is a product of Kagaya's chakra, so it is normal for Bajian whose soul has been connected to Kagaya for several years to have an aura close to Sage of 6 Paths. The excitement of 9 Tails is just an episode. When Bajian raises his head, his face is full of softness. They are all here. Teacher Minato, Mrs. Kushina, Jiraiya, Tsunade, Hitaki Kakashi, Might Guy, Uchiha Shisui. Even the maid Kitty who has matured completely and has a slender figure and is becoming more iconic, as well as Bajian's sister Mitarashi Anko and her good girlfriend Kurenai Yuhi. Of course, there are also girls who are waiting forever for themselves have also grown up. Mao Yushian. Conan looks complicated in the corner. It's even more unclear, so the young girl who is about to graduate from the ninja school has fiery eyes in her eyes. Hinata, Tenten, Ino and other 12 Xiaoqiangs are looking at him curiously. As for Naruto and Sasuke, they have already gone to Bajian. But only one person is missing. The figure who sweated together on the training ground when he was young. Sword sang. Suddenly, an excited voice came from behind. The clones transformed into crows gathered together, and Itachi rushed to Bajian quickly. The imaginary scene where the brothers embraced did not appear. Familiar fingers touched Itachi's forehead, making a popping sound to make him stand still. Long time no see, dumbfounded. Sure enough, there is no need to say much between men. He's back, everything is fine. He smiled and nodded at Bajian. Konoha Kenpachi. He is Konoha Kenpachi. At this moment, the villagers suddenly realized that they cheered. He's really handsome. Ino pulled the dazed little Sakura, and pushed Hinata, who was blushing. Finally, I set my eyes on Tenten, who was dejected. Really handsome. I knew a few years ago that that man had refreshed the ceiling of people's perception of the word handsome. And now that ceiling is even more difficult to period. The main reason is his free and easy temperament. I heard that this kind of free and easy way is just one of his ways of doing things. When guarding the village, that man's haki is the most admired from the heart. Such a man is destined to be surrounded by yin-yang and yan-yan. Gritting his teeth, Ino finally mustered the courage to raise his head. Some people won't change once they make up their minds. They rushed past when they heard that Konoha Kenpachi had returned to the village. Come and look forward, the figure has entered the village surrounded by everyone. What does she want to do with the flowers in her hand? Missed it. It seems that I can only wait for the next time. The decadent girl sighed. At this moment, she could only look at her back and cheer herself up again. Nothing. I thought you would go home with Anko first. Naruto building, inside the office. Minato looked at Bajian sitting on the sofa, Itachi and Kakashi who followed and scratched his head. I haven't seen him for a few years, his disciple has grown up completely. After the immature faded away, The mature and reliable temperament made Minato very pleased. Not urgent. Bajian shook his head. This time I come back without accident and will not leave the village for a long time. There are so many. Quote. Apart from Konoha, everything to collect is almost the same. Next, develop your own Tenseigen ability, and speed up the daily task of swinging the sword. There are two main aspects of success. Has been absorbing the energy of the Golden Wheel Tenseigen, so the daily progress of swinging the knife to unlock the template power has fallen. Bajian will not forget that his main move is still flat cut. Even the power of the blink of an eye is the effect of applying repulsive force and gravitational force to the knife. There is still a lot of room for improvement, so settle down and then finish the things that the ninja world should handle. This is the future plan. The reason why I came to the office to look for Minato was to know about the recent changes in the Genin world, and Konoha. Konoha's Anbu Reserve, and the Nightingale Squad were thoroughly launched. Quote. After a few years, the degree of completion is quite good. Now more than 80% of the small countries and small and medium-sized ninja villages in the ninja world are all under Konoha's control. Taking out the map, Minato pointed his finger at the sign with excitement. 80%. The speed is indeed fast, Bajian nodded. But there are a few countries that are somewhat difficult to deal with. As soon as the conversation changed, Minato was suddenly helpless. For example, the country of ghosts, where the system is completely different from other countries, there is no such thing as a daimyo, and there is no substantive government. It's not so much to manage the country of ghosts as it is to guard the country of ghosts. The people with the highest authority are generations of witches. Miko, count the time, Shien's mother should have already sealed the monster's death at this time. In other words, it is the girl who controls the kingdom of ghosts now. Bajian suddenly realized that, as Toad Maru said, chakra was originally a foreign product. Once this continent had its own heritage, and the witch was one of them. In addition to the country of ghosts, there are other countries with chaotic politics, such as the country of snow, etc. Anyway, it is more troublesome to deal with. I think you have to make your own decisions for some things. The teacher can't help it. Shrugging his shoulders, Minato gave an intriguing smile. Bajian, do you understand? Understand what? Holding Kurama suspiciously, Bajian puzzled. Kansang, teacher Minato meant that it's time for you to bear Hokage's responsibility. Itachi reminded him friendly. Yes, Bajian, whether it is for Konoha or your prestige, it is enough to be the fifth Hokage. A little excited, he walked to Bajian and handed the Naruto cloak. Minato's eyes were full of expectation. Last time this kid said that he was young and that he was fully mature when he came back this time. What excuses do you have to shirk? I do not. Pushing away the Hokage cloak in disgust, Bajian moved his ass back. Are you kidding me? Just come back and let me be Hokage. Well, as expected, Kakashi said calmly, knowing Bajian knows that people like him can never handle those tedious official duties in the Hokage office every day. Especially when there are so many cute girls at home. The more you watched in Intimate Paradise, the more Kakashi felt that Xiao was the real winner in life. Isn't even the content in the book tailored for Xiao Xiao? Well-deserved protagonist. Sigh, Minato is a bit useless, is Hokage so disgusting? Okay, Mr. Minato, wait a minute. But this time Bajian left a thought for Minato, and added a sentence and waited. Timing is important. Just now, Mr. Minato said that he has controlled more than 80% of the small and medium-sized ninja village. I have an idea. Select elites and send them to Konaha, to send talents to Konaha. As far as I know, there are quite a few geniuses or secret skills in the little ninja village, and their joining will enhance Konaha's combat effectiveness. After a pause, Bajian smiled confidently, and after a while, they will become extremely eager for this opportunity to come to Konaha. The new generation is about to graduate, which means that the Chunin exam is no longer far away. For the Chunin exam this time, he wants to invite all people from Shinobu village to Konaha to watch the ceremony. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. After all, it's paving the way for becoming Hokage in the future. But Bajian is also very interested in this batch. 2 chapters in 1. In other words, is it to assess instructor? Minato nodded, but before that, Bajian. Mrs. Minato's meaning is obvious. The work is done. Nodding, Bajian turned and left. Next, Bajian sighed. Let him get close to Konoha's next generation to raise his image in the hearts of those new students again. This time, I want you to be the instructor ninja responsible for the assessment. Let them see, the new generation of First Ninja Village is equally powerful. It's time for reunion. The new ninja school graduation season is almost here. Good idea. Chapter 168. After setting foot on the peak, there is no one beside him. Konoha, Mitarashi's home. The yard at this moment has been expanded and renovated once. The location has also been changed to a residential area in the center of Konoha. No way, because more people are staying, expansion is inevitable. Anko is the only one left in Mitarashi's family and Bajian's older sister, so she is a well-known hostess. And Kurenai Yuhi, for some reason, moved here a few years ago to live with his girlfriends. The reason given at first was to accompany her good girlfriends, fearing Anko's loneliness and the like. But as the hostess, Anko directly saw through the opponent's inner small Julie. Well, who the best girlfriends are for, Anko knows in his heart. In addition to Red and Anko, as the second maid generation, Wooden Golem is very comfortable recently. At least, she's not the only maid anymore, and she is in charge of another member, Admiral Conan. I have Admiral Conan, can be a bastard. Oh, it's not that she was talking nonsense, she could see clearly when she used to peek at the door. And she also knows secrets that Anko and Hong don't know. The secret between the maid and the master. Therefore, she would often secretly ask Conan some strange questions. For example, some subtle feelings of the other party. Another example is the reaction of the body. And why did you break the clothes? How does Conan answer these questions? She had been appointed and planned to mess around, but after getting acquainted with a few women, she found that everything in Konoha village was not as unbearable as she had imagined. Even the happy smiling faces of the people in the village are infinitely close to the peace she imagined. Isn't this the life she wants? If it's that man, maybe it can really bring peace to the world. Unfortunately, Nagato and Yahiko can't see that day anymore. 130. Originally she thought her mentality would get better and better if the damn it man was not there. But she seems to be accustomed to being bullied, and sometimes the figure of the man in her mind pops up from time to time during her lonely night. She didn't know what was wrong with herself. A little confused. In addition to the two maids, Red and Anko's good girlfriends, there are other members in the newly expanded Mitarashi family. Mao Yushian, nominally Konoha Kenpachi's real girlfriend. According to the original idea, she just came to help clean the room of Bajian every day, but her arrival directly caused a chain reaction, which led to Tsunade also coming to join in the fun. It is to protect her apprentice from harm, and by the way, to guide 100 Healing's Mark's learning actually what he thinks, Azuki Yuyan understands a little bit. Senju is a sad place. She is the only one in the empty yard. Such an environment. It only reminds her of the sad things in the past. So because of the above reasons, the current Mitarashi house is very lively. Hong and Anko, two maids, and Tsunade master and apprentice. A total of 6 girls are very lively. Yi Bajian is the only man. So when he stepped into the yard, he was stunned. The other 5 girls are normal, but your Tsunade also mixed in, is the reason a bit far-fetched. With a frown, Anko has rushed over and hung on him. The well-proportioned old man has developed well in recent years. Although his weight has soared a lot, his flesh. It definitely grew to the place where it should be, such as Anko's Anko, which obviously surpassed her best friend's Anko, but it's still not as good as Tsunade. Let's lose weight, old sister. Squeezing Anko's face, Bajian said helplessly. Although the weight is maintained pretty well now, but if this trend continues to grow, I'm afraid it will eventually. The result will make her exquisite face go astray. No matter, turn around to you. Anko flipped through Byakugan. There are many ways to lose weight. But after Bajian glanced at Conan, whose face was reddening in the distance, he suddenly had an idea in his mind. During the days when Conan was forced to calm down, she seemed to lose a lot of weight. Also, the ups and downs of screaming training will definitely consume a lot of calories. Go back and try. After squinting his eyes, Bajian felt clear. Lying on a familiar recliner, 2 maids standing beside each other neatly, one holding. With a fan in the wind, the other delivered sweet fruit. This summer, it is destined to bring coolness in the heat. Why is the world managed by your husband Kun, and the atmosphere of the world managed by your concubine is completely different? When returning home from outside Konoha village, the scenery along the way also enters Kagaya's brain through Bajian's eyes. Really, even thousands of years ago, when Ōtsutsuki Kagaya was called the goddess of Yu, everyone seemed to get along peacefully. But there are still some discordant voices in the back. Kagaya was extremely confused by the kind sentiment that was conveyed from others. Why didn't she get this kind of treatment in the first place? After becoming the goddess of Yu, there is no such thing except for the barriers that others panic. Kind of feeling. For the reason, your roughness is one aspect. On the other hand, you never completely regarded yourself as a person on earth. Bajian said lightly. The power is indeed the master can play the best role in his own hands, but don't ignore the people around you. The same, I insist on saying that I am different from you. Companion, they are equally good. Quote. That is, even if you and I are both successful, you will be crowned in the end, there must be nothing behind you. And there is definitely more than one person who accompanies me to stand on top. Quote. Just a few words express Bajian's heart. Along the way, the change of his mentality has never happened overnight, he has learned to integrate into the world a little bit. Let Konoha rejuvenate from no cure, from not catching a cold in this village, and feeling the shelter of Minato. His gain is more than just strength. Those who trust him behind his back are equally important. The two-dimensional world is very simple, and it is enough to express emotions with your heart. Is this the difference? Kagaya is silent. Learn to trust others. She never seemed to do it. Husband Master Kun, the concubine body never seems to see through you, even if you get along with the golden wheel and turn the bull's eye for a few years. There is also a journey to visit the world of the heavenly imperial palace that Kagaya used to create with the power of the sacred tree. Rao has been together for so long, and she still finds that everything about the other person is still so attractive to her to explore. Perhaps the most correct thing to do for thousands of years is to become his perfect wedge. Husband Lord Kun is completely different from himself. Gained a powerful force, but the heart has never changed. Be firm as always. Close your eyes and feel the warm sunshine and the sound of wind coming from nearby. The corners of Bajian's mouth lifted up with an arc. He once said that there are 3 or 2 confidants. Comfortable person, enjoying the battle and peace after the war. This is the life he wants. Hey, Sasuke. Quote. Nissan is back. Ninja school. In the elite class about to graduate, Iruka on the podium is talking about graduation. Some new rules for assessment. Naruto sitting next to Sasuke suddenly said. Below. Can't visit yet. Quote. Sasuke shook his head. These two friends who are destined to hold each other for a lifetime, because of Bajian's relationship, the bond between each other has increased. Opponent. Dear friend. It is also the goal of urging each other to move forward and want to surpass. Now that Bajian is back, how can he just look at the entrance of Konoha village? After so many years, it is reasonable for Naruto to miss his brother. Every time I see Itachi coming to take Sasuke home, Naruto's disdainful eyes always carry some envy. Well, my brother is back. You are showing off with me that you have a brother to try. And your brother can't beat my brother. Naruto grinned. But what does it mean to not be able to visit? When I went back to school, I heard Nissan say that Master will stay with his family at home these days. I don't know the specific process, but Master's house is full of girls. Sasuke took out a copy of Intimacy Paradise from his arms and glanced at it, calmly analyzed the original. This is the version of the lifting of the ban, a gift given to him by the Master after he once became a teacher by himself. I heard it was a treasure handed down from one of Sanin's Jiraiya. He couldn't understand when he was a child, but since the work he had been dragged by Naruto behind the toilet became more painful, he realized. And one more point. Sasuke took a deep breath and pointed to the podium. Don't you think? Let the teacher take a look. Is our growth the best way to meet? Quote. Graduation season. Become a ninja officially. Naruto suddenly realized. Yes. Let the elder brother see the growth of the younger brother, it will definitely feel gratified. 2 spirited boys. Iruka on the podium smiled. Once some people have a goal in their minds, they will always move forward courageously. However, although these 2 children are classified as geniuses, they have graduated from the ninja school. After the reforms, the difficulty of graduation has increased several times. Whether it can graduate smoothly, every student can't pack a ticket. Yes, the graduation system of the ninja school has been completely reformed. In the past, only the Master 3 body technique was required to pass the graduation examination smoothly. But not now. As a ninja, even Genin should also have the same battle as Genin. Force. Therefore, the way of cultivating talents in ninja school has also changed. From psychological quality, physical fitness, ninjutsu talent, chakra volume, theoretical knowledge, etc. The next generation must be up to the standard to successfully graduate. It is an important bud for the ninja to succeed Konoha's elder ninjas to guard the village. 0 I heard that the leader of reform education is the mysterious Konoha Kenpachi. Before the other party left the village, this set of plans had already been implemented. Iruka originally opposed it. After all, children are children. If the curriculum is more rigorous, the excessive burden will affect the growth of students. But a few years later, this system made him extremely admired. Especially when those genins who left the ninja school experienced danger outside, they were very grateful for the education of the ninja school. This allowed Iruka to see a new way. Well, the day after tomorrow will be the graduation exam. Good luck to everyone. After explaining all the procedures required for the exam, Iruka smiled at his college cows. This year's students are the best students he has brought. After graduation, I felt a little bit reluctant. As an enlightenment teacher, seeing the growth of children is his greatest relief. Just when Iruka was about to find a place where no one was looking, all the students in the elite class stood up and bowed to Iruka. He hadn't thought of this kind of change at all. You. The eye sockets gradually moistened, and Iruka squeezed his fist. You have grown up. Below, Sasuke and Naruto looked at each other. I told the teacher that I had worked hard on this plan, and Naruto originally proposed it. These come from the good education of Namikaze Minato. Respect for teachers. Excellent tutors nurture excellent people. Naruto is mischievous in the original book, but it's just to attract the attention of others. But this time, he got a good education with his parents. The sunshine character of little son is well inherited. This change has also affected Sasuke. Even if your brother is, you can only look at his back from behind. My stupid brother, everything you see Konoha is due to Jianzang. Including the Uchiha clan, including you, Jianzang has done everything for Konoha and never returns. Remember, Being a disciple of Jianzhang is the greatest honor of your life. This sentence is often mentioned by Itachi. The young Sasuke didn't understand, but when he saw Konoha's development history at the ninja school, he had his own ideas. There is no doubt that the greatness of Konoha Kenpachi has long surpassed Hokage. The graduation season has officially arrived. 3 days later, on the huge playground of the Konoha Shinobi School. The new batch of children who will be assessed are gearing up. I heard from repeat seniors who did not successfully graduate in previous years. Grid. Hey, I don't know if it can pass. Quote. After all, it's the third generation adult, strictly 0.9 normal, but the seniors who graduated successfully. I also said that if you can't even pass the assessment, there is a high probability that you will die if you perform duties outside. Around the playground, the whispering students are still discussing what. But when 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen walked over with his old body, everyone was completely safe. Calm down. Retire. Not really. Sarutobi likes to watch Konoha's new generation grow slowly. The youthful children allowed him to forget his age. And this feeling of contributing to Konoha also tells him that he is still alive. Standing in the middle, Sarutobi shook his big pipe in a melancholy. Unfortunately, today he is destined to only watch. Ahem, although I really want to test your abilities like Wan Yen, but, this year I will be responsible for the test. It is not the old man who will test you and give the conclusion on whether you can graduate. Quote. Not Lord Third Generation. Who is that? The surrounding children looked at each other suspiciously. It's the hero of Konoha, the man who awarded the Kenpachi badge and can drive the power of Naruto. Konoha Kenpachi. Along with the children's surprise and shock, a figure slowly fell from the air. The familiar figure that entered Konoha that day came into view. My name, Yi Bajian. The gentle voice made the children so excited, they could not wait to immediately run over to admire each other's. Heroic. Konoha Kenpachi. The legend that Konoha is alive. He actually came to guide the graduation assessment himself. It turned out to be him. This moment, Sasuke and Naruto were dumbfounded, but then, the heat and surging fighting spirit in their eyes came out of their bodies. Their goals have changed. From completing the graduation assessment, to doing everything possible to get the man's approval. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 169 Konoha's New Generation, Shai Hinata. No doubt, when the legendary man arrived, the atmosphere on the playground had become completely different. The first time I met Konoha Kenpachi so close, I was excited. But more tension. Rumor has it that this man is strong, and Konoha's meritorious deeds also record the glorious deeds of the opponent capturing the man and capturing Raikage alive. And that kind of thing that he thought was done when the other party was a child. Now, no one knows how strong this man is. Quote. Relax your mind and show your usual level. But the tense atmosphere only lasted for a while, and the gentle tone that echoed on the court made them. The mood has been relieved. The man was standing there. I haven't seen it a few times, but I feel like a big brother next door. Although a little weird, it made them feel more cordial. The assessment has begun. The first player to play was an ordinary little boy. Bajian glanced at the roster in his hand and nodded encouragingly at him. His name is Mitsui Jiro. It's easy to explain his origin from the name. The second child of the Mitsui family. There is no special blood following the limit, and super descent momentum. Bajian does not treat it differently, blood and background are not. There are countless positions suitable for ninjas in Konoha, and even if you graduate from ninja studies, you don't want to enter. The combat department can also focus on cultivating ninjutsu in the service industry. It does not have to be used for combat. In normal work and life, Jonin is added to the people. The normality it should be. Take Konoha's land grabbed from Sand Shinobi Village. Is there really no development value in that place? Not really. Under the leadership of Yamato, a new batch of afforestation plans have begun. Earth-style construction team, water-style cultivation team lack a large number of talents. Of course, the welfare is much worse than the combat department, but working hard slowly will always prove its worth. This is what makes Konoha different from other shinobu villages. As long as you are good enough, there will always be a job that suits you. Please advise. Taking a deep breath, Mitsui Jiro took out 3 shurikens and threw them at Bajian. The feint started. Ding 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 3 times, Bajian caught the shuriken lightly and threw it back. Mitsui-san didn't react slowly, he moved quickly to avoid the attack, and then smashed at Bajian while his remaining strength was not exhausted. An army. Boom. There was a muffled sound. Bajian didn't move, and pointed to Mitsui-san's unstable feet, then 04 gave a light kick. The battle is over. The students who were a little lacking in performance were in tears. Bajian walked over and touched the opponent's head and nodded, work hard, you will definitely pass next year. Did it fail? But what is going on with this feeling of not being depressed? After leaving the field, watching the second student who went up, Mitsui Jiro gave a deep bow to Bajian. Next year, he will work harder. It's just that Bajian's attention has shifted from him to the girl in front of him. Is she the second one? Looking at the other person's white pupils, Bajian stroked his chin. Hyuga Hinata, the eldest daughter of the Hyuga clan. If there is no accident, she will inherit the identity of the Hyuga clan family and bear the burden of becoming the patriarch. Due to the existence of Bajian, the Hyuga clan did not experience the loss of Hyuga Hazashi. In addition, there are more chain reactions. Under the strict system, the children in Konoha village could not bully Hinata when she was 3 years old. Indeed, the white pupils are the hallmark of the Hyuga clan. Anyone in Konoha village who has a bit of IQ can't not know, even children. Human nature is evil. Sorry, parents decide the maximum growth of their children in the future. The arrival of Bajian changed everything about Konoha, so naturally the scenes in the original work did not appear. And even when watching anime, Bajian feels that it is just a forced act of heroes to save the United States. So, who is the back of her looking up now? Bajian don't know. After all, he hasn't been in Konoha in recent years. However, I have to admit that the supple personalities that Hinata wears and the courage to rush to protect the safety of cherished people in times of crisis are the reasons for her great voice. Now she has just graduated and is growing up under the strict requirements of Hyuga Hiyashi. He looked at Hinata, and Hinata was also looking at him. The air seems to be a strange atmosphere. After holding back for a while, Hinata respectfully saluted Bajian. Please enlighten me. Familiar bad style. It takes a process to gradually become strong from this character. But speaking of it, there is still a gift in his system backpack that he has not had time to give to Hyuga Hiyashi. There is just time today. After the assessment is over, he can talk to him. Hinata, without rushing her to attack, Bajian walked to the opponent step by step. Like the movement that came out of his throat, Bajian turned straight by Byakugan. If the assessment fails, your father will punish you, right? As a family that attaches great importance to fame, this kind of question is somewhat unnecessary. Don't be nervous, just show your strength in your usual practice. If you can't get together now, wouldn't those efforts be in vain? Patting her cheek, Bajian stepped back, unaware that a reddish-red color had come out of Hinata's neck. No boy has ever slapped her in the face. Going to be dizzy. How to do? Hinata's eyes start to get confused. But at the end of her life, a sigh of coolness made her sober. Entering the eyes is the vast universe in the eyes of the other party. He blue eyes. Are you ready? Nodding to Hinata, Bajian asked politely. The nervousness disappeared. Those eyes gave her strength. Since it is to show all strength. Byakugan. Open. Test started. The growth of the new generation has attracted special attention, especially when the person in charge of the assessment is the rumored wooden Yi Kenpachi. This time, even the ninjas were attracted to see Konoha Kenpachi's demeanor. The man did not disappoint them. Whether it is a civilian ninja or the noble Hyuga clan, there is no difference. Give the opponent a chance to show their full strength, and point out which actions are not well done, which will leave the enemy. The next opportunity seems to be a practical lesson led by Konoha Kenpachi. Sword sang. What people don't know is that a casual man is sitting on the commanding heights of the ninja school. Enjoy the scenery below. Yi Bajian. The one on the field who instructs the children to practice is nothing more than his shadow clone. A figure appeared behind him, and the man casually threw the wine gourd over. Have you used eye drops? Uchiha eye drops, Bajian redeemed from the system mall as an effective measure to relieve pupil loss. Well, the effect is very good, but one day it will lose its light, I have a hunch. Itachi sighed. Didn't I let you be okay? Quote. Bajian took Itachi back with a calm finger. Does the next sentence mean that you want to leave your eyes to Sasuke? You said you want me to take care of him for you in the future. Itachi rubbed his head awkwardly. This fight was not light. But how did Jianzhang know the secret of Eternal Eye? Based on the little information on the Uchiha stele, the ancient documents of the Uchiha clan and the information left by second Hokage, he speculated how to reach the point of eternal Mangekyo. It was indeed the same as what Jianzhang said, he has not been pondering this matter recently. There is no doubt that the eyes are left to the younger brother for sure. But you have to choose a method of death that will impress your brother. A little melancholy, also reluctant to present Konoha. Unfortunately, this is the fate of the Uchiha clan. The legendary Uchiha Madara uses his brother's eyes. What's wrong with giving my eyes to my brother as elder brother? Hey, with a beating, Itachi meets Bajian's pupils. The light blue stars in the universe made Itachi a little lost in an instant. What kind of eye is this? Why can't even Mangekyo compete with his pupil power? Itachi was stunned. The thing about the eyes, I told you a long time ago. Quote. A fist stuck to Itachi's chest, and Bajian pressed close to his ear. Did you forget it or did you really owe it? Dumb. ... It's finally my turn. The test was still going on, and when Sasuke walked onto the stage, his body was shaking with excitement. I haven't seen each other for a few years, Master will be surprised when he sees his own growth, right? Sasuke, come on. With a move of his ears, Itachi's voice fell into Help's ears, and he turned his head in surprise to look at the second pillar. Stunned on the spot. Itachi is still that. It's just that it's a bit miserable right now. The original handsome face has become red and swollen, and his eyes are still blue. Someone can beat my brother like this. Sasuke squeezed his head angrily, and an angry Sharingan jumped out to Tomo. Nissan, who beat you? Can I say it? Itachi smiled wryly and shook his head. After all, this matter is still his own. Jianzhang left for a while, as if he had lost his backbone. These things will always choose to be random. But now, Jianzhang is back. He said that the problem of eyes is left to him, so what else should he worry about? This beating is right. Without explaining anything, Itachi shook his head to signal Sasuke to concentrate. Are Sasuke and Naruto the last two? On the court, Bajian beckoned to the two after checking the roster. You two go together. Remember, use all your strength. Asking one's own disciples is naturally different from asking other ordinary graduates. This is also one of the purposes of his presence here. Although it is Shadow Clone, with the strength of Bajian Pervert, the two little ghosts will not be given away unless they are sent now. The old man is forced to awaken the blood of Indra and Ashura, otherwise there is no chance of winning half a point. Together, Sasuke nodded and didn't refuse. He understands what Bajian is going to do. The master will always look forward to his disciples, and the moment when a disciple surpasses the master is also the most worthwhile. When proud, it's a pity that he misunderstood, and after all, there is no hope of transcendence in this life. The battle begins. In just an instant, Naruto and Sasuke entered a state of competition for many years, but they also developed a glance will understand the tacit understanding of the other's meaning. The sound of the road broke, not the shuriken being thrown out, but the speed of the two themselves. Is this a new life? Pervert. The mere speed shocked the students who had finished the assessment and said that they were unsatisfactory. The original talents of the two are not bad, and they did not waste their time in their school career. Naruto, who didn't make trouble by the llama, showed the same talent as Sasuke. In addition to ninjutsu, Sasuke also has that kind of slashing momentum. There is no doubt that the battle between the three is full of expectations from the beginning. Unfortunately, the speed is fast. It's just that when the two of them approached, Bajian downplayed a karma who avoided Naruto sideways. Kicked the opponent out, and Sasuke's hack was pinched by his two fingers, and he punched his stomach. Boom. Boom. The two figures slammed their painful teeth on the ground and grinned. He's so strong. In the distance, Ino, who has passed the graduation examination, covered her mouth, staring at the court. Pulled man. The little Sakura next to him was also dumbfounded, unable to speak. Hinata was just a reddish dress corner. The three of them did pass the assessment, and the process made them enjoy. On this point, holding his shoulders, Bajian calmly looked at Naruto Kazuki, who got up. Hey, Sasuke, I have to force the eldest brother to draw the sword, or we will be the people he taught. The strength is too bad. Naruto looked at Sasuke, his eyes very serious. Understood. Taking a deep breath, Ōtsutsuki nodded, and the hook in his pupil turned slightly. Sharingan. Eye-opening at this age is not something worth showing off, especially his eyes are helped by Itachi. It turns on when it is exciting in the world of Tsukuyomi. But as long as you open your eyes, it is a qualitative change. Go. With a low drink, Sasuke rushed forward first. But Naruto, who was in the same place, maintained the posture of Jain. Kodachi swung wildly, and after a few flashes, Sasuke slapped the ground and summoning made a huge wind demon hand. Li Jian was thrown to Bajian. Does 303 cooperate? It's like the situation where the two defeated Ōtsutsuki Momoshiki in the original book. The difference is that when the wind demon shuriken approached, it became three at once. Shuriken clone technique. Such a pity. This thing is useless to Bajian. Stretching out his hand, in everyone's bewildered gaze, the wind demon shuriken that was thrown over to spin quickly. Bajian was pinched in his hand. One of the other two shurikens bounced into the air, and the other flew behind Bajian's body. But before Bajian could say anything, Sasuke in the distance suddenly showed a weird smile. Boom. White smoke flashed. Wind demon shuriken suddenly turned into Naruto, but Naruto in the distance had long since disappeared. Next, Naruto grinned at Bajian and swung one fiercely. Transformation technique. The students around suddenly realized. But what surprised them even more was that when Bajian resisted Naruto's fist, Naruto stretched out. The hand tightly grabbed his palm, and the ground under his feet shattered, and two figures came out at the same time. It's Naruto's shadow clone. At the same time, a loud roar suddenly came from the top of the head and behind. A figure swiftly approached under the cover of the sun. Rasengan. Chidori. In just a few breaths, the cooperation of the two is perfect. Using the wind magic shuriken to attract Bajian's attention is actually to get close to Bajian and restrict his actions. Taking this opportunity, Naruto used the dazzling light to turn into one of the three wind magic shurikens and flew into the air, while Sasuke detoured behind Bajian. The real ultimate move is ninjutsu used by the two together. Yes, it's a pity that I can't draw a knife at this level. Looking calmly at the upcoming attack, Bajian smiled slightly and grabbed a child's palm with one hand. I squeezed the meridians where they gathered chakra and instantly, both Rasengan and Chidori disappeared. Bang bang. Then one person kicked and flew out again. Patter. The stacked teenagers landed on the ground, glanced at each other, and let out a wry smile. Pervert. Our master pervert. They are just brothers. How to fight this? Ninjutsu ran out and didn't hit anyone, and their physical strength had already consumed more than half. But, give up. How can it be? Struggling to stand up, the persistence in the eyes of the two is moving. What if you know that you are not an opponent? Take out everything to enjoy the fight. This is the first time their teacher Yi Bajian taught them. But when they were about to attack again, a figure suddenly fell beside them. The strength is so-so. But, Sasuke, Naruto. Congratulations on your graduation. The soft and familiar voice pierced into the ears, and the Bajian, who stood motionless from beginning to end in the scene banged. They disappeared with a sound. The real man has taken them into his arms. The one who is responsible for the assessment from start to finish. Is it just his shadow clone? Strong and terrible. But it seems that it doesn't matter anymore. Congratulations on your graduation as a certificate of recognition for them. Enough. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 170 The Pure White Wedding Dress. She looked full of hope. The graduation assessment is completed. The genins who passed the assessment left the ninja school under the leadership of the teachers in each class. For them, the next step is celebration, and the final farewell moment with the teacher. Hinata. But just when the classmates of the elite class were about to leave, Bajian suddenly walked over from a distance, went straight to the Princess Byakugan and called out her name. Ah, Master Bajian. The sudden rise made Hinata stunned, and then quickly bowed. Follow me. Are you going to visit Father? On the way to the Hyuga clan, Hinata said with a blushing face. It's hard to say what it's like to walk along the streets of Konoha with the legendary man, but it's always feel very nervous. Especially when the other party said to look for his own father, the nervousness became more intense. Is it because you didn't perform well on stage? Probably. If it weren't for Master Bajian to give herself courage, I'm afraid she wouldn't even be able to show the basics. Well, there are some things to talk to him about. Bajian helplessly patted Hinata's cheek, just to meet a parent. Are you so nervous? And this kind of meeting with parents and the kind of seeing parents are two concepts. It's just a chat. Recalling what Neji said in front of so many people a few years ago, Bajian was a little bit emotional. The Hyuga clan is divided into clan and branch houses. This system is the main reason to ensure the purity of the Hyuga clan's blood. The system itself is not problematic, and from the perspective of the clan family, caged bird itself is. There is no problem with the sealing technique that restrains the branch house and ensures that Byakugan will not fall into the enemy's hands. But if you analyze it from the perspective of branch house, this is obviously unfair, so Neji appears. So want to fight against the existence of fate. After all, Bajian had promised Neji to help him change his destiny. So it's necessary to say hello to Hyuga Hiyashi in advance. When Neji really proves himself, it will be the time when the branch house system is abolished. In addition, there is the Ōtsutsuki Sharon who was sealed by him. In the original work, the Hyuga clan has always claimed to be Konoha's strongest clan. But the combat power shown is not that strong, and it can even be shaped with soy sauce throughout the entire process. Wrong. This is the origin of the soy sauce family. As the Byakugan inherited from the Ōtsutsuki clan, it is a pity that it is just this level. After Bajian owns Tenseigan, he realized that Byakugan is not that simple. The reason is the bloodline problem. It can be seen from the theater version that Hanabi's eyes are just ordinary Byakugan when he puts his eyes on him. In the body of Ōtsutsuki Sharon, that is Tenseigan. So it is obvious to think of Ōtsutsuki Sharon as a Byakugan purifier. How to do it? Bajian intends to have a good talk with Hyuga Hiyashi. To enhance the combat effectiveness of the Hyuga clan is to enhance Konoha's combat effectiveness. Bajian's mentality is fundamentally different from the suppression and trade-off of Hokage in the past. You can feel free to development. As long as you do things like rebellion, no one cares about you. Everything has rules, just follow the rules. Because he has that confidence. No matter how you grow your family, it is impossible to exceed Konoha's strength. Master Bajian, you did not send someone to inform you in advance when you came here. It is too much to not greet you personally. Negligent. Hyuga Hiyashi was obviously shocked. Perhaps the younger generation only has longing for this man, but the older generation of ninjas is more respectful, and there is such a fear from the heart. What a powerful man this is. It is hard to force the existence of all 4 ninja villages with their heads down. And now he is already recognized as a candidate for the next generation of Naruto. Why did you suddenly come to the Hyuga clan? Could it be that someone from the tribe angered this adult? For an instant, Hyuga Hiyashi glanced at Hinata standing next to Bajian. Is your daughter causing the trouble? Don't get me wrong, I just want to have a good chat with you, the head of the Hyuga clan. Bajian shook his head and looked at Hyuga Hiyashi. 5 minutes later. The reception room of the Hyuga clan. Like the daughter who went out to prepare tea, Hyuga Hiyashi is a little nervous now. Only him and Yi Bajian were in the room. But no matter what, the boy in front of him is more natural than his master. I don't know Master Bajian. After a long time, some Hyuga Hiyashi who couldn't stand the atmosphere finally spoke. Sure enough, I still can't adapt to the feeling of drinking tea. Interrupting Hyuga Hiyashi, Bajian put down his teacup and took a sip of the wine gourd. Your mental quality is not as good as your daughter. He glanced helplessly at Hyuga Hiyashi, who was anxious, and Bajian sighed faintly. Well, there are two things. Shaking his head, Bajian got serious and stretched out 2 fingers. The first thing is about the caged bird of the Hyuga branch house and the system of relocation. Is it coming after all? Hyuga Hiyashi gave a wry smile. I remember Neji had called Master Bajian before. Well, it's not just because of him. Bajian shook his head. As an outsider, I really don't have the right to interfere in your family. But it is also true that this system is inhumane. The most important point. Staring at Hyuga Hiyashi's eyes, Bajian looked solemn. I just want to ask you if Hyuga clan isn't Konoha's Hyuga. As the Hyuga clan the Hyuga of Konoha. Hyuga Hiyashi opened his mouth, then stood up and saluted in shock. Master Bajian, the Hyuga clan's loyalty to Konoha has never changed. Where do you start? Take it easy. Bajian patted him on the shoulder. I mean, if you treat the Hyuga clan as Konoha as a member, why must the branch house be used to protect the Zong family? Or do you think Konoha does not have the ability to protect you? Quote. Bajian said calmly, well, to put it bluntly, there is Konoha, and I am afraid of the blood of the Hyuga clan. Can't the pulse be saved? And you don't think this kind of system will cause dissatisfaction with branch house, maybe someday it really breaks out. How about even if you start caged bird? Kill all the people in the branch house. It's clear that they belong to the same family, but it feels really uncomfortable to treat them differently. Quote. For Konoha and the Hyuga clan, this is a hidden danger. Abolish the caged bird restriction, the branch house will still do its best to protect the clan family, and it will be more grateful. Add hard work. Slowly, Bajian sighed and stroked his zanpakuto inadvertently. Sure enough, preaching is not suitable for him. What can be said? Bajian has already said, can he have this understanding? It depends on Hyuga Hiyashi himself, but Bajian thinks that the problem is not big. In the end of the original work, the Hyuga clan still cancelled this system. Naruto can do it and he can do it as well. Of course, how to change, when to change, you first think about it, wait until you see it too. After Neji's determination officially began to be implemented. This is the first thing. Quote. Back on his seat, Bajian took another sulky drink and shook his head. The second thing is related to the blood of the Hyuga clan. Blood. Hyuga Hiyashi, who hadn't fully recovered yet, opened his mouth and said silently in his heart. Finally, did you start with the Hyuga clan? The Hyuga clan can be passed down to the present, the strict system is the most important. Things like intermarriage would never exist in the clan. When Bajian said the word blood, Hyuga Hiyashi instinctively compared the current Hyuga to once. The Senju. The disappearance of the Senju clan, in addition to the cause of the war and high-level attacks, the most important reason is the method of intermarriage was incorporated into Konoha. Unfortunately, the line of the Senju clan was about to break, and only Tsunade remained. The rest of the village could bear the name of the Senju clan at all. Incorporate blood into ordinary people, and then improve the overall strength. This method. If Han's family adopts this measure. Master Bajian, I can't do things like intermarriage by myself. With a bitter smile, Hyuga Hiyashi said decadently. But the person in front of him is Yi Bajian, one person is enough to destroy the existence of Hyuga. Being in Konoha, he has no means to resist. Who made you intermarried? Bajian frowned strangely. That is. Instead, Hyuga Hiyashi didn't understand, and it seemed to me for a moment. Just now, Lord Yi Bajian came back by taking his daughter's hand. Is it possible? Reminiscent of the rumors in Konoha village, Hyuga Hiyashi realized the love affairs of Konoha Kenpachi. The man in front of him is the only one in Konoha village who has 2 maids and a genuine boyfriend. It is rumored that his sister's best friends are very thoughtful, inheriting the lustful attributes of Lord Jiraiya, one of Sanin. But in this case, it's a little easier. Well, since Master Bajian has an idea about Hinata, I will go to discuss with the people. A good day for marriage. But considering that Hinata is only 12 years old, if Bajian-sama is patient, it's best to wait 2 or 3 years, then it will be the age of the marriage. Marriage. Married. Outside the door, Hinata with tea in his hand was about to come in, but when he heard these words, his small face was instant. He suddenly turned red, almost fell down without holding the tray, slowly, and ran back trembling quickly. I'm getting married. Marry Lord Kenpachi. In the room. Stop. Bajian was completely helpless, and simply and rudely threw Zanpakuto on the table. The meaning is obvious. You are beeping. Lousy chopped you off. This is so much a brain supplement. Am I talking about this problem? Moreover, 12-year-old Loli, he really did. The Conan and Ōtsutsuki Keigai I have eaten so far are all thoroughly cooked oni-san. Even if the next thing to move is the real girlfriend Shion. Lowly, need to be trained. Not for Hinata, isn't it an intermarriage? Hyuga Hiyashi swallowed and glanced at Zanpakuto on the table. According to his younger brother Hyuga Hazashi, Bajin-sama's knife has changed 3 times. Is blood following the limit? I have never heard of the blood of the knife. But there is no doubt that he can't take this knife anyway. Summoning technique. Boom. He snapped his fingers casually, and as a puff of white smoke dissipated, a struggling weak teenager appeared. Beside. Who is he? The pupils with pitch black gaps, the strange curly hair, and the clothes with guyu. Hyuga Hiyashi observed with some doubts. Ōtsutsuki Sharon. I'm going to kill you guys. Quote. After struggling for a while, Sharon roared madly. Without eyes, he didn't know what was being sent to the outside world, but he understood that his father, Ōtsutsuki, was dead. Boom. A fist hit Sharon's face and knocked him out. Bajin sat down again. Before that, let me tell you about the origin of the Hyuga clan. The origin of the Hyuga clan. Hyuga Hiyashi was stunned. As the head of the Hyuga clan, does he need to listen to this kind of thing? 1,000 years ago, a silly white sweet woman came to the earth with the sacred tree. She is the ancestor of chakra, but for some reason, she was sealed by her 2 sons. Quote. And one of them is named Ōtsutsuki Hagoromo, also known as Sage of 6 Paths, inherited the silly Rinnegan and the fairy body. His younger brother, Ōtsutsuki Hamura, inherited the silly Byakugan blood succession boundary. In the end, Hamura took his descendants to live on the moon, and was responsible for guarding the Gedo statue, the body of 10 tails. Ōtsutsuki Hagoromo founded the ninja sect and brought unimaginable disasters to the ninja world. After speaking in one breath, Bajin stretched out his finger and pointed at Ōtsutsuki Sharon. In short, he is the only person with pure blood remaining on the moon, which is my compensation for abolishing your caged bird system. Standing up, Bajin picked up Zanpakuto and pierced the opponent's chest fiercely. With the painful wailing of Ōtsutsuki, the Soul Eater has deprived him of his mind. Starting today, Ōtsutsuki Sharon is a walking dead. This. How it's used. Hyuga Hiyashi swallowed. Today he, was a little bit irritated. It takes a lot of time to digest, the key is that he really can't think of the role of this stuff. Putting on your valuable eyes can greatly improve the quality of Byakugan. In addition, he took out an old scroll from his arms and threw it in front of the Hyuga clan. This is the practice method that really matches Byakugan, including super strength physical skills such as the 80 God Air Strike, and suddenly opened his eyes, the pure white pupils made Hyuga Hiyashi completely bewildered. This is Byakugan, and the pressure that seemed to exist and did not make Hyuga Hiyashi's body trembled. Byakugan whose purity is above him. And looking at the appearance of the other party's free manipulation, obviously it was not transplanted later. Byakugan threat. A strong sense of pressure, the atmosphere in the room stagnated, Hyuga Hiyashi's body has completely knelt down. Don't underestimate Byakugan, this kind of simple threat is just one of its abilities. With a word, Bajin's pupils returned to normal and turned and left. From today onwards, Ōtsutsuki Sharon will become a pure power bank of the Hyuga clan. He who has been obliterated by God's cry, doesn't have to worry about resisting. As to whether someone from the Hyuga clan can be awakened in a blink of an eye, Bajin is not too sure. In the original work, Hanabi's Byakugan was detained from Sharon and returned to normal. However, it is possible to refine the quality of Byakugan. It's up to Hyuga Hiyashi to understand how much you can do. Walking all the way to the exit of the Hyuga clan, a figure appeared in front of Bajin. What embarrassed him was the clothes he was wearing at the moment. It is a kimono with pure white and sakura flowers. If Bajin remembers correctly, it seems to be the same body that Hinata wore when he was married. Meeting Hinata's hopeful eyes, Bajin made a hard time. This. How to be good. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running.